Welcome to the Ultimate Fighting Chat podcast. On this edition, we're going to be discussing UFC Fight Night Colby Covington versus Tyron Woodley, the main card. We've already had a chat about the prelims. And if you want to listen to that, then it'll come up on the screen and you can listen to it. All right, Ireland?
All right, mate.
Yeah. What's going on?
Now,
you ain't got no stories for me.
nah.
Well, didn't you tell me earlier? It's windy today. Didn't you tell me your fence blew down?
Yeah. Good.
Well, ain't that a good story?
Not good for me, no.
How many fences have you had blow down now?
I seem to have one a year at the moment. It seems to be as frequent as Christmas.
Silly, isn't it?
My last house had a couple of fence panels blow down, and then later on, all the rest of them decided that, why should we stand up if those two are allowed to lie down? So they all decided to follow suit and all fell like a pack of dominoes. Then got that sorted, moved house, come to a new house within 6 months. Panel blew down, fixed it the other week, and then it's got really windy here. So 2 weeks later, that one's come back down and has brought with it another panel that's blown down and all. So my advice to anyone who's got a garden, don't get run-of-the-mill wooden fence panels. Get concrete posts, concrete gravel boards, and slide the panels in and out, because it's just not worth it in the long run. Those wooden ones, especially in England with the weather we have, the rain and all that, they rot away after 5, 6, 7 years, and you just find you've got to put them all back up again. Not worth it. Pay that bit extra, get the concrete in, get it sorted once and for all.
Quite a lot extra, though, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, but like you say, it's the false economy, isn't it? It doesn't matter anyway. It's extra, but you're going to constantly pay for fixes or bodge job fixing, and doesn't last.
Well, that's it. You got to big picture. Look, if you're on a tight budget, then you can only do what you can do, right? But
that's it.
But if you can stretch that a little bit further, I think it's like a post might be about, I don't know, 15, 20 quid for a wooden one. You get a concrete one, I think they're like around 30 quid. Again, it depends on how many panels as well. If you've got 30 panels to do, then yeah, obviously it all adds up and it'll end up being a hell of a lot more. If you've got, say, 5 or 10 to do, you definitely need to be, if you can, stretching those pennies and getting concrete ones. Because I'm telling you, these wooden ones are just not fit for purpose.
Constant hassle for you. But the thing is, right, if you've got 30 panels to do, then it means you've got a pretty big garden. It means you've probably got bit of spare change for the fencing, you know what I mean? Wouldn't mind that. Would you mind that? I'd like the idea if I had 30 panels to put up. In principle, I'd like it. It means I've got a big garden. Well, I don't care. I don't like big gardens because you've got to look after them.
Yeah, it depends, doesn't it?
You?
Depends. I personally, in my life, all I've got from gardens is grief. And I'd much rather I want a garden, right? Because I'd rather have a garden and a green space outside my house rather than having somebody else's front door. So I do want some space.
Or a road, yeah.
Yeah, or a road. But like I say, they're just burning a hole in my pocket and burning a hole in my backside for the last 3 or 4 years, doing my nutting they are. So I ain't into fences and I ain't into gardens at the moment. Maybe once it's sorted, I'll see the good side of owning a garden. But for me, all it's been is grief.
Yeah. And then you try and sort it out and then it all grows back and they are grief.
Yeah, they're hassle. They never look good. They never look like they're doing, I don't know, whatever those programs of Titchmarsh and all that stuff. They never end up looking like that. Or they look like that for, like, say, for a week and all the weeds come cracking through again. And,
yeah.
I mean, just they're just rubbish, and that's why old people like them, right? Because it gives them something to do. And ain't
exercise for them as well.
Yeah,
keeps them occupied.
I've got other more important stuff to do. I've got FIFA Ultimate Team to play. I've got films to watch, and I've got podcasts to do.
But so this is, look, and this is what people want. This is what they require. The people have got other things to do as well, as in to listening to you on a podcast. We don't want to starve them of that. And to be fair, we've been pretty crap on this event, haven't we? I mean, this one's going to come out late. I haven't got a reason, really. I mean, I was going to say that we've been tied up doing stuff, but I suppose we have, if he's tied up doing now. But I don't know. I ain't got a good reason why this hasn't come out earlier, because it should have, shouldn't it, really? It's a bit late, this one. Apologies to people that have been waiting with bated breath.
We know why this ain't come out earlier. We know it. It's because of all this, we're all lethargic and all that because of the situation.
I agree.
But, that's a discussion for another time.
I do agree with that, though. Yeah, it does. It gets you down, makes you feel all drippy and no get up and go. Yes, it definitely isn't good, that's for sure. Been some, it's been bad news for ages, isn't it?
And that's one thing I think that the UFC, just to bring it on nicely to the UFC, they deserve a lot of credit for, right? They're putting on shows, they're getting their fighters. I know people are going, they still don't pay their fighters enough and all that, and that's all a fair enough discussion to have. That's not a discussion we're going to have now.
Nope.
But, they are putting on events. They are making sure that their fighters do have the option or the opportunity to earn a living of some description, whether it's a good enough living in people's eyes or not. They are, if you like, putting a bit of ray of sunshine, they have been for a while, while everything's locked down, there's been no football and all that. If you're into that, I imagine it's probably the same in America. No NHL, no NBA, no baseball, whatever. It's been the same over here. It's nice to have something to look forward to, right? Go, this weekend, I'm going to see Tyron Woodley get his face smashed in. That's something to look forward to. It
is something to look forward to. I agree. And Dana White's been brilliant with it, hasn't he? He's kind of not stopped. The only time it stopped was when it got stopped on him. If you remember, he had an event ready to go and ESPN pulled it out from him at the last minute and said, look, you can't do it. And he didn't. But really, he ain't stopped. He's brilliant, isn't he? It's the truth. He really is good. Amazing at his job.
While everybody can have their opinions on, him as a person and as a boss and all those kind of things, one thing you can't deny is he's tried to keep things going, right? Tried to keep, like I say, people in jobs, people in work, people doing what they love doing, for most of them. Not sure Tyron enjoys doing what he does, but we'll get on to that. And I think he, credit where it's due, and what's the, the opposite of credit, ridicule where it's due, or,
I've got no ridicule for him, though.
I'm sure we could probably find stuff, right? There's definitely, okay, Ray, one that we universally always agree on, the way he sacked Jason Hine, that was crap.
That was a bad one. And not using Mazzagatti anymore. That was a bad one. Don't like that one. And there was another one, weren't there? I didn't like the one where he got rid of the Stitch Duran bloke just because he said some crap about Reebok. He got done and all. That was a bad one. But I tell you what was a good one, getting rid of Burt Watson. That was a good one. That ain't going to go down too well with some people. That
or whatever, all that stuff when it used to drive you mental.
Yeah. What did he used to say? We roll in and all.
Or whatever and stuff like that.
I remember you used to say about him, if you was a fighter at the back, you'd be, God, I've got to focus on my fight. Shut up.
Yeah. It depends, doesn't it? Because for when he left, I know it's very rare that you're going to see people go, thank God I don't have to listen to that rolling rubbish outside, before my fight anymore. But the truth is, it seemed like a lot of fighters, really liked him. And look, that's all we saw of him, right, was that rolling crap. But probably done loads of wicked stuff that we didn't see, get sorting stuff out for fighters. Right? So he probably was amazing.
Pointing at X's on the floor and telling them where to stand. Yeah, great.
What's that?
Pointing at X's on the floor and telling people where to stand. Brilliant. Nice one, Bert.
Yeah, difficult stuff. But I'm sure he'd done lots of stuff that we don't know about, right? And it seemed
he did,
upset when he left. But honestly, just for me, all I saw of him was him shouting and screaming out the back before a fight. And everybody's different. Maybe some fighters went, no, I liked that. It used to get me pumped. But I know if it was me, I'd have been like, man, shut the hell up. I'm trying to focus here. And I've got you screaming like a hyperactive little 6-year-old who's just got a PlayStation or something. Just shut up.
The truth is, it's all right us saying stuff, but if I was a fighter in the job and then, I didn't like that and then he went, I wouldn't have said anything, publicly and gone, "God, I'm so glad he's gone," because it's disrespectful, isn't it? He was just doing a job or whatever. I wouldn't have said anything. It was all right being disrespectful now.
Yeah, cool. Not fighters. So
Yeah.
never gonna
But I wouldn't have. So I do think you're not going to hear too many negative things about someone like that. Because it was out of order, innit? It's crap. Did he lose his job or did he leave?
No, he left, didn't he? I'm pretty sure he left.
Didn't
But
he,
like you say,
did he get cut on the whole takeover bit, when they sold it? Weren't he part of the sniff outs like with Matt Hughes and Chuck and weren't he part of that? The culling, if you know what I mean. I don't know for sure. We shouldn't talk about it if we don't know, really.
Yeah, we'll leave it there. But the one thing I will say, because you've kind of just made me think about something when I was watching this event, and we will get to that fight later, and it was Donald Cerrone. And in the Cerrone fight, I was thinking to myself, if this is the end of the road or if he's not got many sort of fights left in him, he's the kind of guy you'd want to look after because he's brilliant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a real good company bloke and all that. But I think he would be like Chuck Liddell. It'd be like you'd give him a job, but he'd be out there jet skiing, like cave diving and all that. And everyone would be going, hang on, where's Cerrone? And he's supposed to be in this meeting. He's supposed to be head of the Performance Institute treadmills. Yeah. And it's like, has anyone that's like, no, I ain't seen him for 6 months. He's been traveling around Mexico. So I don't think you can look after gizzards like that because
I agree.
He's not a 9-to-5 bloke, same as Chuck Liddell. He weren't a 9-to-5 bloke.
No.
I mean, everyone knew that he weren't going to be taking that job role seriously or what have you. And it would be the same with Cerrone. You'd want to look after him because he's amazing. But what job could you give him? Because he's not a bloke who's going to turn up at 9 o'clock and go, right, it's 5 o'clock now, I'll check out, or I'll have a chat around the water cooler. Or
difficult. I have to say, yeah.
He ain't that kind of bloke. So you kind of just got to, when the time comes, cut him loose. But
he's a free spirit.
He is, yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I wouldn't have a clue how to look after him, apart from just, write him out a massive check. But to keep him on board, I doubt he's going to want to do any of the TV stuff, the desk stuff, because, like I said, someone's telling him what to do with things he don't necessarily want to do. Someone's not telling him what to do when it comes to fighting. He wants to do it, right? But anything else, you're telling him what to do. He's like, I don't want to do that, thanks. You ask him to put on a tie and all that. But no. Ain't doing it.
You got to smile at the camera at this point, and he's not going to be doing it.
Yeah, you can't drink a bud before you come on. All the rules and regulations. He'd be like, forget it. I was listening to an interview with him the other day. He's saying he wants what is it called, a squirrel suit or something? One that you put on. It's got little wings on it. You jump off cliffs and all that.
Oh yeah, I was thinking.
Yeah, he's banging one of them on. Says he wants. So yeah, look, like you say,
saw the other day where he said he's never done drugs. And then he did say he'd actually done one drug, which I can't remember what it was, and he said he liked it. I think probably end up being that jungle thing that everybody
ayahuasca, yeah.
But yeah, he's
psychedelic, some sort of psychedelic. You think it was?
Yeah, I can imagine him doing that kind of a thing. Like when he's. But yeah, he said he doesn't do drugs, and he said his drug is adrenaline or what have you.
Yeah.
Which is the opposite for me. I hate adrenaline. I hate, when your hands go shaky and your legs go wobbly and all that. And, if I have to sort of like chat, I get a lump in my throat, I go red, I'm going to cry. My adrenaline ain't good. Adrenaline turns me into like I don't know, just someone completely not in control of what they're doing. And
I agree. When would you say you've had your a biggest bout of adrenaline, that you felt and known that it's adrenaline? That you can remember?
So here's the thing, like, obviously, when, say, I had a few fights when I was younger and stuff.
Oh, well, now, listen, No,
but hang on, what I was going to say is I never got adrenaline from that. I got quite the opposite. So I used to get so much nervous energy that I used to go in there feeling drained. How we're talking now about how we feel so lethargic through lockdown and stuff. I used to get in there and think, I need to go to sleep.
Yeah, I can't bother with this, yeah.
Yeah, I need to have a kip. I want to be anywhere in the world but here. Now, obviously, once the fight starts, if you like, the adrenaline kicks in and you kind of do what you're trained to do.
Defend yourself, yeah.
Yeah, and your instincts take over and this, that, and the other. But I never went into the ring thinking, all pumped, like, yeah, man, this is, all eyes are on me. This is where I'm going to excel. And I've told you before, I think that's why I never really made anything out of doing fighting or what have you.
Mm.
Because I just think mentally, I had the right mindset for it.
Yeah, right. All the right personality, you know, where, like you say, the
Yeah.
last thing you wanted was people watching you, for starters. There's one thing, you know.
That's why I do this podcast, because I know no one watches and no one listens.
Exactly. It's perfect, right?
But so I never got adrenaline from that. But I have had, and the reason I brought it up is because I have had a couple of scenarios on the streets and stuff where I've almost got into dust ups over various things, and I felt the adrenaline kick in there.
Right.
Which is weird, right? Someone might say, so therefore, you know, we spoke before on the prelim show about some people like Meerschaert, and Agapova, the way they go in there and they fight like a tornado from the off.
Yeah.
And I said, I feel like it's a little bit of a lack of control on their part and a little bit of their emotions and their instincts taking over. And I think, so in a way, you could argue that the fact that I didn't have that, I did have control over my emotions. I wasn't all hyped up and pumped and ready to punch someone's face. In a way, is a good bit of training, right? Because I guess I was calm, composed, but at the same time, I also didn't have that killer instinct that you've got to have, that Chuck Liddell sort of aspect to me.
Yeah. Well,
so it just goes to show that the different intricacies that are needed both mentally and physically to be successful in doing fighting.
I absolutely agree with you, because you're saying that when you got in there, you felt all like, oh, for God's sake, you know, I can't bother to do this. I don't want to do this. I just want to go home and play my games or whatever it is else you wanted to do. But if you had that adrenaline, that would have been the thing, you know, like the injection to make you go, let's do this, you know, but you didn't have it, you know, but on the street when it was more real, as in, you didn't know it was coming. With the fight, you knew it was coming. It was set up. You know, you understood what was going to happen. But I guess the street thing you're talking about was more natural.
Yeah, I guess my body, in the first instance, in an organised fight, my body had the time to sort of just be calm and composed and lead into that event, so to speak. You know, you just treat it as a sparring session or whatever, with a decision at the end. But like you say, with the street version, I guess your body's natural sort of instincts and sort of whatever, you know, all takes over and sort of gets you pumped and ready, because it's like you might need this in a split second, you know, that kind of thing. And the thing is, I used to actually, funnily enough, I used to get more of adrenaline after a fight. On the odd occasion where I won, I would get a nice little adrenaline burst from that, you know, where you would go out and you'd feel good about yourself. It's a little bit like, I've told you before, right? I hate roller coasters, hate them, can't stand them. But on the odd occasion where, say, I've been trying to impress a girl or something, and I've built up the courage to go on one.
Impress a girl? What?
Oh, yeah.
Going on a roller coaster impresses a girl?
Might do, yeah. Well, okay, it might not impress a girl. No, hang on. It might not impress a girl, but I'll tell you what, going, oh no, I'm scared of roller coasters, that sure as hell isn't going to impress a girl.
Well, don't they like it when you're sensitive, a bit more in touch with your actual real feelings? They want a genuine person.
You're wet lettuce if you haven't got the guts to go sit on a cart that's going around a track at 30 mile an hour. But I really hate roller coasters because I feel like
because you're a wet lettuce.
Yeah, I'm a wet lettuce, and I feel I'm out of control of my destiny, so to speak. But I get an adrenaline boost after, once I get off the roller coaster.
Like an achievement thing, right?
I walk around, you know, my chest is puffed out, and I'm all like, yeah, I just done that roller coaster, no big drama, you know what I mean? What's next? That's how I feel. So I don't know. Is that, I'd have to speak to Cerrone and go, listen, do you get that adrenaline just before you do a bungee jump, or is it after, or is it during?
Yeah.
Because I
It
don't know when it's
adrenaline. It might just be the achievement. It might be a different chemical. You know, like they say, the endorphins after you train and stuff like that. It might be that you've got, not adrenaline. Because
might be,
I don't know. I mean, I think I know what adrenaline feels like, and the only time I think I've really felt it is in the bloody video game arcade. I used to get it when we used to play like Capcom vs SNK or Street Fighter or any of those games, King of Fighters, any of that stuff. Down the arcades, you used to sit there, you know, you'll remember, you used to sit there, bang your 50p on the dashboard there, get your go, and whenever someone came to challenge me, so, you know, the seat would be emptied, I'd sit on, someone would come over to challenge or whatever, my back would start killing me. I'd get a pain in the bottom of my back every time all consuming. I mean, it would actually hurt. It'd shoot from the bottom of my back and go all the way up. And I'd think, this got to be this. I don't know. Again, I'd have to ask someone, right? Because there was no pain. Then someone came to challenge and I got this horrible pain in my back. To me, it was a rush of adrenaline where I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to do this, bloke. And I weren't bad, right? Most of the time I won those things, yeah? But the adrenaline would be there the whole way through. And I have to say, I don't know if it helped mentally, but physically, that didn't help me. If I had that in a fight, going into the cage or whatever, I'd be, hang on a minute, I'd have to do a Wooders and go, me back. Because the truth is, I didn't feel like it was a helpful substance, chemical. It hurt, So I didn't like it at all. But maybe that wasn't adrenaline. It made sense that it was, but who knows? Maybe it wasn't.
I'll tell you when the last time I had an adrenaline rush was. I had one recently.
Okay. I bet I know the answer to this, but I can't guess. And we're on a podcast, so I can't take too long. But go on.
I know you don't know. I've never told you.
Why not?
It's just made me remember now. So I was like, I was sitting downstairs playing FIFA, right? At about must have been like half midnight or something like that. You'll find out why it matters in a minute. It's about half midnight, right?
Why are you in the dark now?
I don't know.
You don't know?
The light ain't on, obviously. Listen.
But a minute ago it wasn't pitch black.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what's happened either. So I was playing video games.
To react to your beautiful face.
Don't worry about it.
I can't see it. Right, go on.
Well, imagine it. I was playing video games at about must have been about half midnight or something like that.
Why does that matter?
Really, really late, right? And then listen to this, right?
Late.
I was sitting there in my front room,
right,
and I heard a knock on my front window.
Terrible. So it does matter. The time was absolutely relevant. Terrible. Yeah.
Obviously, if that happened at 11 o'clock, I'd just go, well, it's the postman or it's some Jehovah's Witness or whatever. But I was sitting playing video games at half midnight. No joke, it was that late, right? And I heard a knock on my window, and I thought to myself,
hang on, window, not door.
Yeah, so my house has got two front doors and then there's a window in between.
Yeah.
And they knocked on that window.
On the window? Right? That's even worse. Forget it.
Yeah, they knocked on that window, right? And I was like...
What'd you do? Jump behind the sofa?
Nah, well, here's the thing, right? So I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself, I was like, look, I can just press pause on my game and wait it out and just wait for them to go, pretend that I'm asleep or whatever, right? Or I can go, but then I thought to myself, well, one, that would make you a wet lettuce, which I'm not, because I go on roller coasters.
That's right. When necessary.
And I thought it also could be someone who needs a hand out there, right? Who knocks on people's windows at half midnight?
Well, I don't know. So you're right. It could be someone asking for help. It could be.
Yeah. So I thought to myself, look, grow a pair, which I did, and I went out, right? But that got my adrenaline pumping. So I thought to myself, obviously I've seen enough of those movies, all the, I don't know, Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, all those kind of films where, someone could have gone, smash through the front window or whatever. So I went out there and there was a dude standing outside my house.
What?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I know, man. And I am telling you now, I got a mixture of adrenaline and also I felt...
poo smell.
Yeah, my backside dropped out my bumhole a little bit. I was like, what's going on? What do I do? Right? And he was there and he looked at me and I looked at him. And I was like, right, well, I can't now run back into the front room and hide and pretend that no one's in, right? He's seen me. So I looked at him and he looked at me. And honestly, it went through my head. It was like a guy probably in his, I don't know, mid to late 20s, a fair bit bigger than me and all that. As you know, I'm only small. Right? I thought, what's going on here? I was like, if I just ignore him, I'm going to have to live with that for the rest of my life.
What was that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now I'm thinking, what is this story? Let's have it. Brilliant.
Or I thought to myself, or I can answer the door and he could just pile through my front door and we could end up with a, little tortured in your house scenario. So anyway, I thought, well, look, he's outside now. He's seen me. you know, if he's going to torture me, he's going to torture me. And that's just the way it rolls, you know. Don't worry about it. I'm rock hard
Wrong
anyway.
me or something. You know, at least give me a walk. Say, listen, I'm just about to have a smash. You know, just if it happens. At least you know. It's silly. I've never heard from you again, idiot.
I'm telling you, the adrenaline really was pumping, right? And so what I decided to do is, luckily, the window he knocked on, you know, that you can open that window. So I opened the window and I was just like, yeah.
Good
you
one.
know. And he went, and I wasn't crap, you know. I was like, said, yeah, you're right, or whatever. And each went, yeah, number 6, I'm delivering your food. And I went, number 6 is next door. So all that adrenaline, all that sort of like, man, I was ready to I was ready to either run like the wind or, you know, just do a Meerschaert Bektik and fight fight like hell for 9 minutes and then burn out. You know, if the guy lasted over 9 minutes, he could have done what he wanted to me. But
mate, yeah, but the relief though, no?
It was delivering food, yeah. I just went, no, it's next door. Now, the thing is, right, is all I could think after he went was, what kind of takeaway establishment is still open and delivering food at 12:30 at night?
Oh, no, I mean, I thought you was going to say that, you know, knocks on windows and stuff like that. That's bad. No, delivering late, fantastic. Sounds like a brilliant place.
Okay. I'll tell you what, you won't believe it, but it happened about 2 weeks later as well. It was a bit earlier this time. It was about 11:15. I was up in my bedroom and I had a knock on the door and the window again. I went downstairs. I opened the door this time because it was a bit earlier, 11:15, so I was ready for a smash.
Did you feel a bit more confident, you think, because of
I
the
did.
time
I felt a
before?
little bit better because I thought this might be the grub bloke again.
Yeah.
And I opened the door and he went, you know, he was just about to walk away, leaving the food on the doorstep. And I went,
what?
Not, you know, because my house has got 2 front doors.
I was about to say, yours looks weird.
Yeah, they see the 5 on the door on the left and they just assume the door on the right is number 6.
It is weird.
Ain't next door. So,
yeah.
Anyway, that's my last adrenaline rush.
Wow, brilliant. Hey, listen, good one, Matt. Wow, it's funny how these stories come out. That's amazing. Brilliant. But I do get why they make that mistake. It does look very, very strange, those houses with the double doors. Still don't understand it. But even so, mate, he shouldn't be like tapping on windows and all that. He probably feels a little awkward because of the time that it's late. But you've agreed it and you deliver late, you know. So
he didn't bang on the window. He tapped, like you say, he tapped on the window. So to be fair, I definitely think he did feel a bit like, blimey, it's late. I don't want to wake people up.
Well, yeah, but you do because they've ordered food, you flipping mug.
Yeah, but the thing is, right, yeah, but let's just say I was upstairs,
you
know, like asleep in bed and I got out of bed to go and answer that door. Let's just say, you know, I was busy with one of my women, you know what I mean? And I had to stop.
Okay, yeah, it's a pretty far-fetched scenario, but okay, carry on, yeah.
I mean, standing proud and all that. That'd have given him a shot. That'd have given him an adrenaline rush if he saw that. There you go.
It wouldn't.
No, it wouldn't.
It would, you know, it would have given him a right good laugh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So on to the event. Just a reminder that it's
that intro was, but yeah.
No, it's brilliant. No, I loved it. So it don't matter. You've just agreed no one's listening to it. That's what you said, but you're completely and utterly wrong about that. Covington versus Woodley, but we're going to start. This is the main card, and we'll start at the bottom and work our way up to the main event. Just because that's how we watched it. That's the only reason I've got. First fight then that I saw on the main card was Kevin Holland, 18-5 is his record, versus Darren Stewart from England, 12-5.
Yep.
Let's have a little look at their nicknames first. Kevin Trailblazer Holland. Anything to say on that?
Yeah, it's pretty rubbish, and he can do better. He seems like a decent fellow with a little bit about him, you know, a little bit of personality. He needs to change that because that's a crap nickname.
He's one of my favourite fighters, isn't it? Is the absolute truth of it. I don't know why I saw him on Contender when he was on it, but I don't know why. I just did. I think I might have had Fight Pass. Well, obviously I had Fight Pass at the time, and maybe I just gave it a go. I got lucky and saw him, and I thought, I really like this bloke. You know why I like him. He does all the chats, right? I mean, I love that. And I do think he's a good fighter as well. But let's go with Darren Stewart's nickname, the Dentist.
I quite like that one.
So do I. It sounds all Sweeney Todd, Jack the Rippery, Old England, Backstreet cold, cobblestoney, doesn't it?
Yeah, and obviously the main thing is I'll rearrange your teeth, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So,
Quite
I
good.
quite like the dentist. Yeah. The what I was going to say about Holland, right? Well, just first things first. I don't know if you got anything to say about it, but I'll open the discussion. There seems to be a little bit of controversy over the scorecards. I thought
Noticed,
I
yeah.
thought Holland got round 1 and 2, and
Yep.
Stewart got round 3.
Yeah, I think it
I
was
don't think
pretty
round 3
simple,
was
yeah.
don't think round 3 was a 10-8. I
No.
think it was 10-9. It
No,
wasn't.
he only really, really dominated that round towards the end. And it was finished. Yeah.
Yeah, and even when he did, sort of to score a 10-8, in my opinion, you need to sort of really wobble a guy, get him a little bit sort of like where you get to the impression that when you're watching, you go, oh, that was close to being stopped, or, and one more punch and he could have been stopped, or, a real just sort of complete, have him on the mat from, the first minute and keep him there and pummeling him for 3-4 minutes. I don't think it should just be just for having a clear victory in a round, an uncontestable.
No. Clear victory means that you can score it easily.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think there's not a person alive who would have given Kevin Holland round 3, right? Everyone would have given it to Darren Stewart. But I don't think it was dominant enough for anyone to go, it was definitely a 10-8. Some people might have gone 10-8, but I don't think it was.
Did anyone give it a 10-8?
No, so that I think a lot of people felt that Darren Stewart also got the second round, because I think he did kind of secure a couple of takedowns and have a little bit of top position. But I just felt that Holland landed the cleaner strikes, or the strikes that made me kind of go, ooh, looked like that one rung Darren Stewart's bell a little bit. Whereas I don't really remember Darren Stewart landing any punches, or not many, that made me go, oh, he's got Holland in trouble. I didn't like Holland that much in this fight. I didn't think.
No, me neither. It wasn't a great performance.
Yeah, I think it's the worst I've seen him, to be honest. His punches
agreed.
Slappy. He seemed like he was slapping and winging these shots wild rather than being controlled and stuff like that. So
yeah, I don't know why, but I have to agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was that for me. I think it's Holland obviously didn't feel that he won the fight. He actually said to Dana White afterwards, we should run that one back, because I don't think I won. So again, says a lot about him. I think I just quite like that guy. Just seems like a good guy to have in your gym. But
I like him. Interesting to watch. Good fighter. This wasn't great by him. Just mentioned that Stewart, he done our mate Pitolo in the fight before with a guillotine. So, he's definitely quite good. Isn't he? I mean, he seems pretty good. And I do think Holland is a really good fighter. And Stewart almost won. The things I noticed in that fight was that Darren Stewart is crashing out quite bad. Don't know if you must have noticed that. It's sort of your,
expertise.
Your area of expertise. Yeah. Quite bad as well. There was an amazing example of a Galchoy punch by Kevin Holland in round 1. On the broadcast, they called it a hammer fist, but it wasn't a hammer fist. It was a Galchoy, 100%, the angle of it and everything. There's a strike from Chinese Kung Fu and using steel wire mantis. That's all there is to it. I'd like to ask Holland about it, because I'm telling you now, that weren't a standard hammer fist. And it was good. He found a gap for it and he used it. Don't get used that much. A lot of people would say, yeah, it does. It's a hammer fist. It's not. It's different to a hammer fist. It definitely was one, right? Now, Stewart, you're right. I didn't see him throw many strikes, but there was a strike that I really liked. They did pick up on the broadcast, and I loved it. When Holland was on his back on the floor, he threw an elbow to the bottom of Kevin Holland's foot. And I really liked it. They sort of went, was that an elbow that he threw to his foot? And I thought it was, and I noticed it, and it's brilliant. It's just striking. It's the only thing that was there, right? So he was struggling to get into his guard and stuff like that to sort it out. And he's like, well, I smashed the bottom of your foot in. It's one of the 108 vital striking points is the base of the foot, I'll have you know. So, good one by the dentist, that. I liked that. One thing I didn't like about Darren Stewart, he said nothing during that fight. I've had no issue with that. Kevin Holland was constantly talking to him, nicely talking to him, not sort of cursing or anything like that. He's been
a couple of things back from time to time.
Every now and then he might a bit, but most of it fell on deaf ears, and that's fine. By the way, he's concentrating on the fight, and he's not doing chats. But there was a time when he started to doing all the shouts. And the only time he started doing all the shouts and giving it the attitude and the aggression was when there was no time left in the fight and he was in a real dominant position on the top. But that, I just didn't like that. I was like, now you're doing shouts and you done no chats through the whole thing. And now you're like, yeah, come on, yeah, bang, and smashing on top. It's like, yeah, the fight's about to finish. No good getting all the breath now. So
yeah, well, I don't like that anyway. You know, it's a little bit like, you know, there's nothing worse than when fighters do that sort of, you know, it's 10 seconds to go. Let's have a stand and bang and all that. I hate that. It's just, yeah, it's just
like you've had 15 minutes to stand and bang. You know what I mean,
yeah, exactly.
No problem that you didn't. But, you know, don't give it all the chat like you're going to do it now.
Yeah.
When you know that the
only good one is Holloway when he does it.
Yeah, but that's because he's been banging for the rest of the fight, though. And he's normally in 25-minute ones, so he's good. So, yeah, and I like the chats by Holland saying that, you know, didn't really think he won the fight. But running it back, chat, forget it, man. I mean, I got no problem with I like the honesty, saying, look, I didn't really do that good and I probably lost that. But I ain't running it back. I've had a fight with Darren Stewart. I've won. Forget it. There's no controversy there. And even if there was, I won. It's like Ed Herman deciding to go, listen, that weren't a sack shot. That was a shot to the gut, reverse the decision. No. Matt Hamill never got the decision reversed, right? He won against John Jones. Leave it. You've won. Don't worry about it. Move on.
It doesn't need redoing because I don't think it was a particularly entertaining fight. 2, I don't think the fans care. 3, I don't think it particularly advances or damages either of their career. This past this point, I don't think rematching it will make anything more, you know, clearer. I don't think it was even a controversial decision. I actually thought Holland won 29-28. I was certainly happy with Stewart winning 29-28. I'm just saying it weren't one where I went, you what, when the decision was read out. And, just move onwards because I'll tell you what, I don't want to watch that fight again. It was okay. It wasn't a bad fight.
It was all right, yeah.
It's just not good enough for me to want to watch again. Like I said, it doesn't do anything for either of their careers. So onwards and upwards, lads. Stop your whinging about it. You know, just get on with the next fight. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. And we're going to do the same, right? We're going to get on with the next fight. We're teaching them, this is how you behave, boys. You move on, you get on with the next fight. And the next fight is Mackenzie Dern from Brazil. She's 8-1 versus Randa Markos, 10. Listen to Randa Markos' record, please, before the result of this fight. Right? Before the result of this fight.
Yep.
Her record was 10, 9, and 1. So that now means her record is 10, 10, and 1. Quite bad. This fight won Performance of the Night. And the winner was Mackenzie Dern in round 1. Whoa, hang on a minute. I know what
you're going to say.
It wasn't a decision. It was a women's fight and it weren't a decision. And she won in round 1. So
it can mean only one thing. It's the classic, the armbar.
There you have it. Exactly.
I don't want to spend too long on this really because, you know, you're going up against somebody who's supposed to be a ground wizard, you know, someone who's supposed to be a real. And I appreciate that some people. Do you remember when Husmar Polharis, when he was leg people into the next stratosphere, and you got Alan Belcher, and he decided to actually go down to the mat with him.
Brilliant.
And I remember I think it was Joe Rogan going, "What are you doing, Alan? Get out of there!" and all that sort of stuff. Probably not that in that higher pitched voice, but you know that's what he done.
Yeah, he should have done it in that voice.
And I don't know how I've done in that voice. You know,
it was good.
I have to ask the doctor.
Do the whole podcast in that voice.
But
definitely the complete opposite of your actual voice. I didn't even know your voice could do that.
Terrible impression, wasn't it? But it was just like, you know, he stayed there and he turned around and he punched Usman Polharis in the face a couple of times, and that made him, you know, turned him into a white belt, as the classic saying goes. Mm-hmm. And maybe Markos thought the same thing was going to happen, right? She could get on top, land a couple of elbows, and all those grappling credentials would go out the window. But they didn't. She, if you like, she went into the hornet's nest and she got stung to death. So stupid decision, really. Maybe it's she didn't have much confidence in her hand. She is a ground fighter anyway, predominantly Markos. So, maybe she just thought, well, this is my better chance out of two. I don't know. But anyway, she got what she deserved for having a poor fight plan, and she lost.
But you're right. It's not like she's good at striking. The only thing she could do is grapple. She may have got wind that Mackenzie Dern had been training with Perillo and didn't want a taste of the fist, the new fist skills. You know what I mean? So,
I'm pretty sure she landed a good punch on Mackenzie Dern just before it went to the ground. I'm pretty sure she landed like a right hand or something. And, I think Mackenzie Dern came in quite aggressive and she sort of tagged her. But, look, if she ain't got confidence in standing with her, I mean, I don't know why you... Look, it's simple, right? If someone said to me, you got to have a fight with this fella, Dave, let's say the delivery guy, the guy delivering that food, we ended up in a punch-up. And I knew that he was an absolute killer on the ground. It don't matter if he hits me with a couple of good punches standing up. I'm still going to stay standing up, right? Because I know he's a killer on the ground. Yeah. So I still take my chances.
You're definitely going to get done down there, yeah.
Yeah, so it was just,
I think, though, if it was a fight with the food delivery guy, that you should have gone to the ground with him because he would have got done by the stench in your pants.
Yeah, wherever slept, put him in a triangle or something.
Exactly. Your adrenaline dump, literal version.
Suffocation.
So, look, obviously that meant that fight was actually all right. It was a good display of jiu-jitsu, if you want. So, it was good, but it was another armbar finish for the women. What did you think of Dern's dancing?
No, I can't really remember it.
Can't remember if she did some dancing. There was, at the end after the fight and walking over to the chat's point. She was giving it all the dancing stuff. I know you love all that crap.
Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Yeah. You don't even know what I'm talking about. That's how much you love it, right?
Oh, I did watch her chats and all that because I always find a little bit, like from the name and the look, she strikes me as being a girl who's like a cheerleader in an American high school. She looks like a girl who'd be like, I don't know, in Beverly Hills, not Beverly Hills Cop. What was it? Beverly Hills 90210? Was it? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Bates, by the bell. She looks like she'd be in all that kind of stuff. And then she's Brazilian. I'm like, what? A name like Mackenzie Dern.
It is weird, yeah. Johnny Walker, another one.
Yeah, well, one of our favourites, John Lineker.
Yeah, John Lineker. Yeah, what's that? Why is he not in it? Is it because they were getting in the division and all that?
No, he got. I think he was basically saying like he weren't getting enough fights or whatever, and he left, didn't he? He went to another organisation. Is it Rising? Was it or something?
It's a shame, man. He's brilliant.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that I'd never ever would have cut. I mean, just amazing. One FC he went to. Sorry.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We'll start covering one FC just because he's in it then.
Yeah.
Next fight then. I quite like Mackenzie Dern though. I like the chats as well. I thought she seems good. So I still don't care. Next fight is Johnny. Johnny Walker.
I forgot that, right? You forgot before. I forgot that you think Markos is No.
I tell you what. Would you get rid of Markos now? 10-10.
I know you wouldn't.
No, I think I would. Because the truth is, she just don't win. And I know people go, "Oh, win one, lose one." No, you just don't win. And now, by the way, normally I would not say that.
3 of the last 4, so she's in a little bit of that dicey territory.
I don't normally care about that.
Saved by the fact that you for every woman that you kind of release, you got to try and find one to take her place, and that's not easy. So look, they got a little bit of a longer leash than the fellas.
Of course, but normally I wouldn't care about that. I don't like it when they go, they're on a losing streak, get rid of them. So for God's sake, someone's got to lose. It's just that even the fights she wins, they're crap. They're boring. So there's nothing, and there's no good chats or anything. Listen, rubbish. Next fight, Johnny Walker. He's ranked 11. Now, I'm saying that for a reason. He's from Brazil, 17-5 versus Ryan Superman Spann, ranked 12. So this is a good matchup. He's from the USA, 18-5. Light heavyweight fight. Favourite was Walker. Winner was Johnny Walker, round 1 by TKO. Brilliant fight.
Right, I'm really going to annoy you, but just stop for 1 second, please.
I left you a nice gap. I stopped.
Okay, I just want to go back to Randa Markos quickly.
Oh, I thought you needed a wee.
Nah. So, you know how we always say, like, oh, if it's not a unanimous decision, it's going to be an armbar in a women's fight.
Well, yeah.
And we're kind of joking a little bit or what have you, but that, it's kind of quite regular. I'm just going to, no lie, right? I'm going to go through Randa Markos's record.
Okay.
And I'm going to eliminate all the decisions. So I'm just going to go for the finishes of her career, whether she got the finish or whether the person she was fighting got the finish, right? Okay. I'm just going to read out the technique that each of her fights that didn't go to decision, how they ended. You ready?
Okay, but let's note now that the ones you aren't reading are decision.
That's right. They're either splits or unanimouses. All of them.
Right.
That's no lie. They are. In fact, I'll just read out her record as it is.
Read it. You know, if it's a woman, it should say, according to us, decision or armbar. But does it?
Right, here we go. You ready?
Put it to the test. Prove it.
Right. Submission, armbar. Submission, armbar. Decision, unanimous. Decision, unanimous.
Oh.
Submission, armbar. Right. Decision, split. Yeah. Decision, unanimous.
Oh.
Decision, unanimous.
Oh, yeah.
Decision, unanimous.
Oh.
Submission, armbar.
Oh.
Decision, split. Decision, split.
Oh.
Decision, unanimous.
Oh.
Decision, unanimous.
Right.
Draw, majority.
Aye. Just as exciting as a decision.
Submission, armbar. Decision, unanimous. Decision, split. Decision, unanimous. Submission, armbar. So there you go. So you can say that, oh yeah, you got that's 6 arm bars and 13 decisions
it's a get rid
out of 20 fights. So, you can say we're talking crap if you want, but we're talking factual here. So shut your face.
The proof is in the pudding. There's an Ingus for you to go with it.
Yeah, eat some humble pie.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, then.
Johnny Walker. Ryan Spann, favourite, Walker, winner, Walker, round 1, TKO by Walker, bloody brilliant fight.
It was brilliant in the sense that it was entertaining, right? And
very.
It was one of those. It was a little bit like a Czech Congo Pat Barry.
Yeah.
And
it was a Meerschaert ref as well.
There you go, right?
Same ref, yeah.
Luckily, it wasn't Tyron.
No. He's my favourite now. Remember.
Yeah, I know, but if it was Tony, Ryan Spann would probably still be in the cage getting elbows to the side of the head.
It's brilliant.
But I think that that fight, Johnny Walker won, and a little bit like Kevin Holland, I think he's a guy I'd really like at my gym. I think he seems wicked as a bloke.
Johnny Walker?
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't say from day one, very start when you first saw him and he was doing the boggle eye win poses and stuff like that with his arm raised. Did you think that then? You're warming to him because didn't you think it was a little bit, annoying, the silly faces and everything? I did, yeah. So I think I like him now as well, by the way. There's a very fine line between being John Dodson and having to tell him, look, you're not welcome in this gym because you really rubbed me up the wrong way. You're really just... All right. Okay. Right. And being a Kevin Holland where you go, no, you're a laugh, you're a joke, and it's good having you around. And at first with Johnny Walker, I was a little bit like, he's too close to the John Dodson rather than the Kevin Holland side. Yeah. Now I'm like, no, he's a bit of a Kevin Holland. Look, it would annoy me if he jumped up and I had to catch his hairy legs, like he was a salmon or something. That would annoy me and stuff like that. But he done you won't know it, but he done the Holland. He's a footballer, plays for Borussia Dortmund. He done his. There you think I don't know what that is? When he done that like Zen pose, cross-legged and all that. That's okay. Well, I see. I didn't know. I thought it was his own thing. Well, obviously it was just a Zen pose, but why do you think he did it? Because a footballer did it. Do you think he knows that? Do you think he's copying someone? Because it's just a normal thing. That Haaland, right? He's a young guy. I think he's about like 19 or something like that. But he's been breaking all these goal scoring records like crazy. And basically, when Borussia Dortmund played, I think it was PSG, he didn't score in either of the matches. SBG, I think it's called, the gym, mate. Yeah, all right. And
And he didn't score in either of the matches. So I think when PSG won, they mocked him by doing his goal celebration, cross-legged, and with his fingers and his elbows on his knees and all that.
I like it. Good mock.
And and so I think that's kind of, I think I'm remembering the story right there. But anyway, so it's kind of his goal celebration.
But we don't know for sure that he copied the footballer, right?
No, we don't. It's just a bit of a coincidence that
that
really sort of popular, well-known footballer now.
The one that I've heard of, that popular guy. I told you, he ain't famous if I ain't heard of him.
Yeah, I know, but
he's not. No. Look, I've told you this before.
The only footballers retired in the 90s.
Yeah, okay, but they were. Listen,
footballers from like post 2000.
But they were famous, right? It's like Michael Jackson, right? You don't have to be into music, this and that. He's famous. Everyone knows him. He's a world famous guy. That guy that you've just mentioned, I still don't even know his name. Dortmund.
Haaland. He plays for Dortmund.
Oh my God. Right. Okay. Haaland, Dortmund. Right. He ain't famous. Right. If he was famous, I'd know who he is. Now, it doesn't mean he isn't a popular, famous guy in football, but he's not famous. Because whether you like football or not, you'd know him. The same reason whether you like fighting or not, you know who Muhammad Ali is, you know who Mike Tyson is, you know who Conor McGregor is. The same if you like I say, with music, you know who Elvis Presley is, Michael Jackson. They're famous people, right? This guy, he's famous football. He ain't famous. Tell him.
I agree with that. If you're not into football, you ain't gonna have a clue.
Right.
That's fair enough.
So he's not. Yeah. So he's not famous. He's just. Yeah. He's well known. Not famous.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'm not going to defend his honour that much. I don't care whether he's famous or not. But that was what the win pose was. But I just think Johnny Walker. Look, there probably are mornings where so I'll turn up at the gym and I'm like, look, I ain't. I don't know. I go to my locker and he's hid my key or changed my code to get into the locker. I'll be a little bit like, flipping Johnny Walker, man. It was better when he weren't at this gym. But there'll also be days where I'm like, no, brilliant, Johnny Walker, he done this joke today on someone and it was well funny. So you got to take the rough with the smooth.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see about that, right? So you're saying that he's good, you like the boggle-eyed faces and all that version where he looks left, looks right, and it's like, what? Right? You love all that. You like all the sense of humour, all the fun stuff, yeah? What about Hap Face?
What about what?
Hap Face.
What? Verdun?
Right. Exactly. You never liked that face, right? You always thought that he was trying to be funny and he weren't funny and all that. And he's Brazilian as well. Why is Johnny Walker? It's all good for Johnny Walker. What's wrong with Hap Face?
Well, like we said with Kroom when he won the other day, there's sometimes when someone's being authentic. And the three nightmare people to turn up at my gym and train, say they all got booted out of their gyms and they went, I'm going to go and train with me.
Yeah.
Would be if they knocked on my door and I opened it and in walked John Dodson, Fabrizio Verdun and Phil Davis. That to me, that would be like, I'd contact the landlord. I'm saying, I'm not paying you next month's rent. I'm shutting up shop. That'd be the end of that. But just because there's something that just comes across with those guys, that they're just annoying and they try and be funny and they ain't and all that sort of stuff. Whereas Johnny Walker, I'm not, the face on it, sometimes I am like, oh, it's a bit stupid, but he just seems like an all right fella. And he trains at SBG and Kavanagh's wicked. So I think that would be a good place. But having said that, getting off his personality, I don't think I've had a person whose stock and whose ability I was as high on that now I would row back and go, I actually think he's not very good.
Oh, yes, there is. Che Mills and Andre Winner. There's two that I can remember. God, going on and on about them, and then they kept getting blazed.
Okay, all right. Well, those two.
But to be fair, though, both good.
I think they're both decent, yeah.
They were. They were, weren't they? Both of them.
I don't know what happened to Andre Winner in his sort of towards the tail end of his career, because before that, he was really, really good. I think.
I remember that one fight
in the other fight at House and stuff like that. He was really good. I don't know what happened to him, but
I agree. Look, I was holding back a bit, because I weren't too sure. But you went nuts and got proved wrong. But it doesn't matter. To be fair to you, in all seriousness, I do see what you saw. I honestly thought they were both really good. And it's the same with a bloke who got punched in the head by Masaran Duba. What was his name? Do you remember? Herbert. Jai Herbert.
Yeah.
I honestly think he's brilliant as well, and I could be wrong. It don't matter that he got done by that punch in the head. I think he's good. I like the look of him, you know. I ain't going nuts. I'm just saying I like the look of him. He showed me that he was good. Don't mean he's not going to get anywhere or whatever, but I thought he was good as well. And I did like the Chimaev style, and I definitely like Andre Winner. I don't remember the fight, obviously, because it was years and years ago. I remember one fight he come out and he got right in the pocket with someone, was throwing really good, sharp, tight, you know, boxing, wicked hooks, wicked stuff to the bod and all that. You know, really good, really well-trained boxing. Never saw it again, though. I don't think I ever saw a good demonstration of it again. I think we saw him in Bama maybe afterwards, in getting done in Bama, wasn't it? I think. Can't remember.
Well, yeah, he fought in Bama afterwards.
But
yeah, I really can't tell you what happened with that guy because, you know, he gave Ross Pearson a real good run for his money in the final of the Ultimate Fighter, and it was a little bit of an awkward fight, wasn't it? Because I think they knew each other quite well.
Yeah. But both wanted each other to, you know, it's not wanted each other to win. You know, both wanted to win, but yeah, wished it was against someone else, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, it just something went wrong. Like, I don't know, mentally with that guy or what have you. You know, like he lost a little bit of faith in his own ability or what have you. But yeah, but with Johnny Walker, he's kind of gone to the point now where I'm like, this guy just doesn't have control over his own body.
Don't look the same.
No, he looks. I think his previous two fights, they ended too soon before we could see too much of, you know, if you like, of his skill set. You know, you kind of got two quick finishes, and obviously when you see quick finishes, right, you go, wow, that guy's devastating. Maybe even if we saw, probably wouldn't have taken much more, maybe only a minute or two more, we'd have seen that, you know, his legs and his hands and his torso are all sort of,
it's weird, isn't it?
Independently of each other, and we might have gone. So his first two fights, he got a knockout in 15 seconds. Well, no, here we go.
One was a jumping knee, maybe. I can't remember.
His first three UFC fights lasted basically 2.5 minutes, under 3 minutes, so under a minute each. And so I think that obviously when you see that 3 early KOs against
and the bod and everything, you know what I mean? Didn't he look amazing as well? Didn't he? He looks very long, athletic.
Lean, and he beat Khalil Roundtree, who we think, you know, good as well. So, you know, you kind of, I get why we're like, oh, this guy's wicked. But I've seen enough in the last few fights to go, there's a lot of work to be done with that guy. He's
bad punches.
Doesn't seem coordinated. He's wide open. The truth is, he should have lost this fight. For some reason, Ryan Spann was having him all ends up on the feet, but decided to go in, shoot him for a takedown after rocking, I think, Johnny Walker. And then obviously
he did rock him, yeah.
Got elbowed side of the head and in classic Josh Barnett fashion, and that was that. So, you know,
if you remember, there was he got wobbled all over the place, managed to survive that, and then if you remember, they both threw a punch and it hit him at the same time. Boom, boom. They both got hit, and for some reason, Johnny Walker just, I don't know, he just handled that better than Spann, and ended up winning because he, like you say, went in for the takedown, elbows into hammer fist to the side of the head, and fair play to him, he done him, you know. But it was an exciting fight. Walker all over the place from getting hit by Spann. The Rocky and what's his name, Apollo Creed moment, bang bang, both at getting punched, and then finishing on the side of the head with the elbows and the hammer fists. I honestly thought it was a brilliant fight. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was entertaining, but it was left a lot to be desired. Technically, I think Johnny Walker did do good, because I think there was one point where he was kind of maybe even full mounted and he had one of his arms trapped, and he sort of managed to sort of squirm out and get back to his feet, and that's just before the double punch landed. And you know, it was a good, exciting fight, but you know, Johnny Walker, someone who I thought, you know, that guy is one of the top guys, if you like, it's one of the top prospects, not just in that division, but probably in the game and all that sort of stuff. Whereas now I'm looking at him and going,
he's crap.
He'll be lucky to, you know, consistently be a top 15 guy.
It is strange. Whereas the other bloke who's exactly the same as him, you know, Michel Pereira, looking at his last fight, he wasn't improved. There's no way that he improved overnight. I'm just saying he fought better. Those skills were there the last fights he had. It's just that he used different skills and a mix of skills in his last fight. And to me, he's a very similar fighter to him. He still looks brilliant, I think, and good. And Johnny Walker, I don't know what's happened to him, but it don't matter. It's about the personality. We want him in the gym.
Yeah, well, he gets in there looking like he's absolutely, drunk.
Does, yeah.
Drunk.
Grashes and everything. The Barnet was a bit crap, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, it's terrible. He was on the FIFA game recently. He had a blue hairdo. It's even worse.
Oof.
But that Mike Rodriguez who we quite like, the one who the guy who lost to Ed Herman.
Yeah.
Recently.
Very good.
Like how composed and calm and controlled he looks. I imagine he would handle someone like Johnny Walker quite comfortably.
Yeah, or get clipped by him. That's what every fight's going to be.
Yeah, exactly. He's one of those guys that could very possibly knock out anybody, right? Because he's wild, erratic, and unpredictable. But he can also get knocked out by anybody. So
yeah.
He's a guy who will definitely be exciting and interesting when you see his name on the fight card.
Always.
But I wouldn't want to be training him. Sorry, Kavanagh. I think you got a job on your hands there.
Well, yeah, if you want, what is it, winning fighters on your roster and all that, and yeah, he might be one of them. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Remember what he's going to bring to the gym, the atmosphere in the gym. You know what I mean? Yeah. Right. So he's worth it just for that alone. But if you remember...
John Dodson working on the door and Johnny Walker
in
the dressing room.
Do you remember after the fight, he went and done chats to Anik, and he was going nuts, doing all sorts of different chats, and Anik could not deal with it because he took him outside of the realms of the run-of-the-mill Anik chats. And he was doing front double bicep and going, hey, look at me, man. I'm strong. And then it was like, ha-ha, yeah. No idea how to deal with it because he was making not a very good conversation, but he was chatting outside of those Anik stiff questions. And you could tell Anik was well uncomfortable with it. Goes to show you. Yeah. Don't want Anik in the gym. Wouldn't gel.
No. That's right. I'd say Anik would be the guy I'd send out to the meetings. You know what I mean? Go and have a word with the landlord, try and get the rent down. That's what I'd use Anik for.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, he's of use.
Yeah.
He's of use.
Yeah.
Just go away and go off site. Next fight. Now, what I'm going to say, this is the Khamzat Chimaev 8-0 versus Gerald GM3 Meerschaert from the USA 31-13. So big difference in those records. Let's just start and break this down bit by bit because this is quite, an interesting one. 8-0 for the Khamzat Chimaev. 31-13. And the bloke who's it's not his debut, Meerschaert or anything like that. It's not a debut or anything. So, experienced fighter. I'm glad we didn't get round to doing a preview show thanks to, lockdown and crap decisions about stuff. I'm glad we didn't do it because had we had done it, I'm obviously going to give it away now. It shows I don't care, right? Had we've done it, I'd have gone, right, it's too early for this Chimaev bloke. People going on about it. So what? He done a couple of people with some ground and pound or whatever. He's going to get done in this fight. That was what I was going to say to you. That's it. And we saw what happened, right? What was it? 17 seconds? Yeah. Banged him out. So a win for Chimaev.
Yeah.
A good win. Decent as in he won different style. And I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do a change. Am I hype train with him now or whatever? But I honestly would have said, he's going to get done in this one because he's going to get a challenge. I don't know what the deal is. It's only 17 seconds. You can go, no, anyone can get clipped by a punch. 17 seconds. What have you got to say about that? Well, it's 17 seconds, and I watched all 17 seconds. I have no idea what Gerald was doing. I don't understand why he backed up, why he had his hands down, why he didn't shoot in, why he didn't defend. I've no idea. That shouldn't have been that easy, that fight. I'm not going to be stupid here and say, he's scared or he looks scared or whatever. I'm not going to say it looked like he didn't know what... It did look like he didn't know what to do. I'm not going to say that because to do against what? It was like the first punch, right? It was like a feint and then the first right hand. So to do against what? Kicks, this, that, and the other. There's some basic things here, right? Circle away. Don't just go backwards. And if you're going to go backwards, end up circling to your left or your right, or just not going up to the cage. And if you're going to go backwards or not circle or go back to the cage, keep your hands up, have some defense. I don't understand what happened there. I don't get it. But what do you think? What can you determine from that 17-second fight?
I think there could be an element of, if you like, psychological aspect to it. Obviously, Chimaev's been getting the big sort of push and the chat that he's the new Habib and all these kind of lazy.
I mean, I'm sure he never expected to get punched
but he's obviously
in the face. Yeah,
he's I think he's got that sort of, he's been given that sort of air of, where I think that he's got a bit of a fear factor about him now, a little bit like Tyson had, obviously not to that same degree yet, but I do think, he has an aura about him where people are like, this guy's a bit of a killer kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might have played into Meerschaert's psyche a bit. I don't think he was scared.
No, not a chance.
I think he might have been apprehensive or cautious, and perhaps overly cautious. Now,
the one thing right?
Sorry?
You've got to fight, and fighting is defending as well. You've got to do something. Doing something doesn't mean throwing punches and kicks necessarily. Eventually, you have to throw some offense, but doing something just means doing something, and that could literally be good defense.
Well, this is the next thing I want to say, because it's actually quite a big deal on this card. So later, I'll discuss it more with Woodley-Covington, but this was one of those classic scenarios where you had Chimaev, an orthodox fighter, fighting Meerschaert, a southpaw fighter. And Meerschaert made the most sort of basic error in that he circled into the power hand. So he was circling towards Chimaev's backhand, his right hand, which is eventually what it got knocked out with.
Yeah.
So it would have been, say, circling. And it's a little bit of one of those things that people get too bent out of shape out of it, because at the end of the day, you don't want to become one-dimensional and always circle in the same direction anyway. So I don't have too much of an issue when people do circle into the power hand from time to time.
No, but move. Yeah.
He should have been, especially right at the start of the fight, probably airing towards sort of circling to the opposite direction, so circling to his right, so circling away from the power of Chimaev. But he didn't. He circled into the power. Now, the obviously the fundamental, everybody says, you've always got to have, battle for foot position, right? You get Dominic Cruz saying it all the time, and there is a lot to be said for that. We've got people with the opposite stance. You want to get your foot to the outside of your opponent's foot, because what that does is it opens the pathway and the avenue straight down the middle to throw your power strike, your backhand. So that's the sort of the basic logic behind fighting for the foot position. But with the way that Meerschaert was walking around the cage, circling to his left, in essence, he was surrendering that outer foot position each time, because he's stepping inside Chimaev's foot each time.
Yeah.
And that's what he done. Now, eventually, when he got caught, what he done is Chimaev kind of pulled his hand out a couple of times. Meerschaert kind of reached out for it, and then Chimaev just kind of stepped in and landed with his backhand. And at the time, Meerschaert had stopped circling, squared up a little bit on the cage, and turned his chin with the punch, so to speak.
Yeah.
So really presented quite an open target, and that was all she wrote. So, some real things that if I was him, I'd go, oh, blimey, man, I really made some real basic errors there. I should have probably been circling to the opposite direction, trying to keep my foot on the outside. Like I said, I don't like to get too bent out of shape like Dominic Cruz does with these things, because if you want what you do fundamentally want to have your foot on the outside, but it's not just there for show. So you want to get your foot on the outside, but you have to work for that position. So you have to distract somebody, say with some jabs, and then you work your foot to the outside to land the backhand. You can't just constantly just be going, I'm going to put my foot on the outside of yours, because you get so distracted with doing that you leave yourself open for strikes and stuff. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, it's not natural.
I'll go over a bit more detail on why I think Woodley was so poor in his fight with Covington, because it kind of touches on this again. But just as a quick, the bottom line is Meerschaert didn't lose because his foot wasn't in the right position, okay? Because if you look when Chimaev lands that punch, he actually steps in and his foot is on the inside of Meerschaert's foot, right? Which people would say, oh, no, you should be on the outside, right?
Yeah.
So that stuff is irrelevant. Meerschaert lost because he got cracked in the face.
Yeah.
With a big right hand, right? He could have had his foot wherever, it doesn't matter. He could have had his feet totally square on, and he could have ducked that punch and not got knocked out, right? So just to sort of look at it that simply, that, oh, well, he lost the foot battle or whatever, is just too simplistic. But he obviously didn't do himself any favours by circling into that power hand, by squaring up on the cage, like you said, not giving himself anywhere to back up to, for reaching out, to that lead hand with those jabs, and also to stop moving and turn his head into a power shot. I mean, it's quite a lot of consecutive errors there. And that's why he got knocked out in 17 seconds. It doesn't mean that I think Meerschaert's crap.
Right? I don't think he's crap, no.
Just lost the fight, right? Got banged by a guy with a big punch. And equally, like what we just said with Johnny Walker, I don't view this now and go, Chimaev's the best thing since sliced bread, or he's a lethal striker as well. I don't think that. I've got to see more from him to see that he is a top elite or even a competent striker than just one right hand against Gerald.
Absolutely, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
You still see. Listen, he has shown you more, right? He's shown you takedowns, ground and pound. Now he's shown you that he's got some power. Yeah, he can hit, not necessarily strike. I'm saying when he hits, he's got something behind it, right? So he has shown more. He's only shown you what he can show you. So far, so good. It's kind of like Megadeth's album, right? So far, so good, so what? There's something to be said for it, but it ain't everything. We haven't seen any defense. We haven't seen much movement from him. We haven't seen any kicking from him. No knees, no clinches, no elbows. There's lots of things in it. We haven't really even seen, wrestling as in standard like American wrestling. There's lots of things we haven't seen him do against, say, someone who's a kickboxer or something, or someone who's got really good striking. So
we haven't seen defensive wrestling. We haven't seen him put on the back foot. We haven't seen how does he respond when he gets cracked with a big shot. Because again, people don't realise that in order to just turn somebody from, say, a lion into a mouse, it can be a very fine line. It can literally be somebody landing a solid, doesn't have to be a KO punch or even a big swing. It just has to be a punch that makes someone go, a little sharp punch that makes someone go, I can't take liberties with this guy. I can't just walk in on him. And we'll see when he receives one of those first punches, how does he react to it? Does it not faze him? Is he like a Chuck Liddell where he's just like, so what? That's part of my job.
Yeah, does he see blood and it makes him more, makes him even more angry or whatever? Some people see blood and they panic, right?
Yeah,
natural.
We haven't seen him face any adversity. Nothing. There's so much we haven't seen that I'm not going to get, behind all this sort of like, oh my god, this guy's incredible. He's done everything asked of him, and his attitude,
absolutely,
go in there and have a smash with whoever, whenever.
What more do you want?
That's good, but it also depends. Where's he going to fight? Is he going to fight welterweight or middleweight? That fight was at middleweight. I think he's had 2 at middleweight and 1 at welterweight, maybe, is it?
Yeah, I don't like these middleweight ones.
I mean,
big is he or anything? I'm sure he'd be better at welters.
He like a middleweight to me.
No,
I thought he looked a bit smaller than Meerschaert. So if he did fight a welterweight, that's in my opinion, a much tougher division.
Yeah, absolutely, it definitely is. But he's good. He's, like you say, he's done everything that's asked of him. He couldn't show any more in that fight. What do you want him to do? Couldn't show any more. As for Meerschaert, I would say for him, it was quite simple. He wasn't expecting to get punched in the face. He's watched the previous fights. He was expecting to get someone grab his knees, take him on the floor, and do whatever to him. That was what he's probably expecting. And he also probably thought, if I do get punched, it doesn't matter. I'm in a fight. He wasn't expecting to get punched and then be on the floor and not wake up or whatever, or be out. So I think that's quite simple. But what he's got to try and remember is he's in a fight, an MMA fight, which should have all aspects in it, or most of the time does have all aspects in it. And he really just had no defense. And that's bad thing for a fighter. He's a fighter.
Like you say, that psychological aspect, it's not only the fact that guy had that aura about him that, people are talking about him so much as being such a, lethal opponent. like you say, it's because both of his wins previous have come from taking his opponents down and punching their faces in. So how much was Meerschaert focusing on that, obsessing over that, thinking I'll keep my hands a bit lower so I can, I don't have to pummel for underhooks so much or this and the other, keeping his hands low. And like you say, wasn't expecting a threat from up top.
It's not. And even if he got punched, he probably thought, so what? Even if I do get punched, so what?
This guy's primarily a grappler, so even if he does punch me, I'll be able to handle it.
Ah, exactly. Would he have ever thought to himself, one punch, this is going to be a one-punch knockout? That probably wasn't. Maybe you're supposed to, prepare for all eventualities. I guarantee you that was nowhere near in his mind that he was going to get punched.
I think that if you said to him, you feel you're going to lose this fight, a KO with one punch was probably bottom of the list or near bottom of the list. It would have been, decision, ground.
Definitely not that, yeah.
And then it might have been, a TKO or something. It would have been far down. But as far as I'm concerned with that Chimaev, if he's going to stay at middleweight, he's got a real, I think, I'll be pretty confident that he could bust into that top 10 quite quickly, if not immediately. Welterweight, different story.
Different. He's got Masvidal and all that.
Yeah, so that's when you're looking at, say, people outside the top 10 or, around the top 10, Vicente Luque, Jeff Neal, Anthony Pettis, Robbie Lawler, they're not even in the top 10. It's a big difference compared to middleweight. So, yeah, it depends on where he decides where his career is going to be at. But, he's definitely a wicked addition, isn't he? He's definitely
amazing. Brilliant.
So,
excellent. Yeah. But I want to see Meerschaert fight again. I want to see how he, how he comes back and what his next fight is like and what his reaction to it. He sent, I think it was a tweet or saying his reaction to it was brilliant. Like, I royally messed that up or something like that.
Yeah.
So he's been a bit Wonderboy Thompson with it, not taking it too serious, just gone, blimey, I thought I was going to do this bloke and I got blazed or whatever, messed it up or whatnot. So it was good. Now, the after-fight chats, I think Anik preferred them to what he got off Johnny Walker because, he didn't have much to say. But I like the chats by Chimaev. Very quiet, subtle. They're not like that I watched there was a press conference before the fight where he's saying stuff that was aggressive, but it was still all done very placid. The words were aggressive, like, I'm going to smash you. What have you ever done? You're getting choked out by whatever, blue belts or whatever, what are you going to do? The stuff he was saying was fighting talk, but said very placid, And I liked even these chats. He was answering Anik, but barely, he weren't shouting and hollering, and he was good. I like him a lot. It's good. So, well, we are going to see him again soon. I thought it was a Damian Maia definite, but apparently it's not 100% that fight.
No, I don't want to see that Maia fight. I think he'll smash Maia's face in other.
Oh, yeah, you think so? Get him on the floor, and what's going to happen then? Going to get jitzed by Maia. Let's go. Come on.
That's what people say. He isn't.
Did they? All right. Oh.
I think Maia's at that stage of his career where if he wants to go out on a high, they should give him, somebody who's a bit more of a dolly or another sort of experienced fight, like a Donald Cerrone, that kind of a thing. And I don't think they should be giving him a young, hungry lion, so to speak. So, yeah, I think that's a bad matchup. And I would be, if I was looking to match up Chimaev, let's just say is that Maia at welterweight? I'm assuming they're talking about Maia at welterweight. If I was looking to match up Chimaev, I'd probably be looking more at, I don't know. I mean, I think you could chuck him.
Wide man?
Who?
Wide man?
Well, if he fights at middleweight, I think that might be a bit too much. Maybe the guy that Weidman beat last time out, so Akhmedov, that might be good. Then we find out for sure, is he around? Because that was such a tight fight. You go, well, look, if he demolishes Akhmedov, then more impressively than Weidman, then you can
ready for the Weidmans, yeah.
He's ready for the Weidmans and above. Whereas if he loses or just scrapes by Akhmedov, we'll pump the brakes on this guy a bit. Maybe give him somebody, a little bit like a Shabazian or something like that. So yeah, it depends. But at welterweight, if he was to fight at welterweight, I think you could make some good matchups against, a Vicente Luque or something like that. That'd be interesting for sure.
Yeah, we need to see him fight someone who's going to bring the fight. And Meerschaert, I think he would have brought the fight. He just didn't really get the opportunity to. So he's just got to defend himself. He's either got to bring the fight straight away or he's got to defend himself. I mean, you can't do Nothing. Can't not defend and not put offense. You can't do now. That's it. That's what happens. There's a demo. That's what happens if you do nout. So next fight then, Donald Cerrone. Power's record 36-15-1 versus Niko, the hybrid Price. He's got a hybrid bod. He's 14-4. So I think this was quite a good matchup. You know, Cerrone, he's 4-fight losing streak. 4-fight losing streak he's on. And Price was the favourite, which I don't think is a surprise if you've got, you know, a guy who always gets mashed up. Not always, but, you know, he's always in hard fights regular, might be putting too much pressure on his body and whatnot. So it's no surprise. But Cerrone, most wins in UFC history with 23. He's tied for the most fights in UFC history with Jim Miller, 36. Obviously, that's 37 now. So I guess he's the most fights in UFC history. Tied for the most finishes in UFC history with Charles Oliveira, that's 16. He's got the most knockdowns in UFC history with 20. And the most performance awards in UFC history with 18. Amazing resume, really, isn't it? Good. You know, I mean, brilliant things to have on your CV, they are.
Yeah. Look, can't say enough good things about Cerrone, but I really didn't like this performance.
It's a bad qual, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you look at his record now, he only loses against amazing people. Right? I'm just going to read you out.
Of course. I mean, listen, he's the man, right? He ain't gonna have any weed fights. And by the way, I like Niko Price. I like him. A good, scrappy guy, you know, who does striking and wrestling and wriggling away from any position. And, you know, I think he's good.
Yeah, I think he's decent. I thought this, if someone, you know, if we'd done predictions beforehand, I would have gone for Niko Price.
Yeah,
so
me too.
Like as a step down from what Cerrone has been fighting at for the last 15 or so fights, it still ain't that big a step down. It's not like he's gone back and he's fighting, you know, a real scrub or something. So
it's just a winnable fight.
Yeah, it's just it's just more winnable for him. So the people who he's lost to lately, I'll just read them all out. Jorge Masvidal, Robbie Lawler. So we've got title contender, champion Darren Till. So again, another title contender. Leon Edwards, you know, 8-fight win streak or whatever it is now. Tony Ferguson, former title holder. Justin Gaethje, title holder. Conor McGregor, title holder. Anthony Pettis, former title holder. You know, those are the people he's lost to, and in between that's a lot of losses. That's 8 losses, and in between that he's won 4, so not great. And he's beaten Medeiros, Perry, Hernandez, and Iaquinta. The best of those victories probably Iaquinta. But the thing is he's one of those guys that he'll still do damage. Probably can still hold his own with people ranked 15 and below, as he did in this Niko Price fight. You know, he can be competitive and win fights and hold his own, but he always gets hit a lot, especially in the first round, right? He always seems to take, remember the Nate Diaz fight? It seems to take sometimes 3 or 4 punches for him to wake up and kind of go, right, snap into gear here.
Brad Pickett style.
Yeah, it's just like it seems that he's, I don't know, he just don't seem to wake up until his body realises you're in a real fight here, you got to do something about it. But he just looked open, vulnerable, fragile, slow,
bad timing, everything.
Yeah, everything looked off. And the truth is, without
combos,
without the point being taken off, even when he was throwing the combos, it's like the kicks were coming to, you know, the opportunities were gone. And he was still throwing the kick, but you know, it was too late. And
it was slow.
His boxing, you know, his boxing's always been an issue for me, as you know, as you've explained before as well, because he's got that Muay Thai style. He's very sort of upright and sort of
square.
Very square and not light on his feet. You know, doesn't cut many angles, or does cut angles, but not in the way, say, a boxer does. You know, light on his feet, spinning around. You know, changing angles in that way.
That's why he's best when he finishes with kicks and knees up the middle. That's his best successes. You know, that's why.
And it's why when he got into fights with, you know, when fights were announced with people like Masvidal at the time before Masvidal went on his tear, I was saying stuff like Masvidal was going to beat him up easy because he struggles against good boxers or people who throw punches straight down the middle because he's very square, very open. But obviously, listen, we're nitpicking. This is definitely one of the best blokes that's been in it for the last however long he's been in it.
we're only saying what we're seeing.
Hall of Famer. But yeah, this,
He's
and by
amazing.
his own admission, this weren't great.
Oh,
This
as he
made me
said,
kind of,
he said it was a bit crap, did he?
yeah, he basically said, like, it weren't very good.
Okay, I haven't seen the
And
after fight stuff.
the vibe I kind of got from him was this was the kind of performance that made, all the other fights where people are like, oh, look, you've lost a few now, maybe is it near the end of the road? And he's all like, nah, I still love this. I'll do it as long as I want. He still has that vibe about him. He's still saying that kind of thing. But there almost seemed to be a bit more of an acknowledgement of, but maybe my mind's willing, but my body is maybe not so willing. It kind of seemed that he acknowledged that, maybe,
Yeah.
there's not long left in the road.
I think he's one guy where it doesn't matter how. It's not the losses that would say to anybody, oh, it's time he retired or whatever. It's not the losses. It wouldn't matter if he lost 20 in a row. It's the performance that's to look at here. Not how many. I don't care how many fights he loses. So what? He's a bloke you'd always have on it. He's popular, etc., right? Brings the best out of fighters, of the opponents, and all that. He's brilliant. But yeah, the performance. It was bad. He just looked like a bloke who just didn't have the timing or anything. All the stuff that he is good at, that weren't there either. The only thing that I'd say on a positive note is Niko came out nuts and threw everything at him, powerful as well, a lot, everything, punches, kicks, everything. And for someone who's a bit battle worn, if you like, he took it all and survived the whole thing. That I'd actually say it's a crap positive, isn't it? Sometimes we need it. You do need resilience as well. It is part of the game, obviously, but it's not all you need. It's not. It shouldn't be your best attribute. But that's the attribute that I would have said going into it. Is he's probably his weakest, given where he is, and how many rough fights he's had.
Yeah,
he held up wicked. I thought he was brilliant. That's good.
His heart and his grit and all that sort of stuff that got him through.
Yeah.
And he's always had heart and grip. Sometimes he's been a bit fragile to the guts, or what have you, only once or twice. I mean, who might say
he's got knocked out by Gaethje and that, and he always gets wobbled and everything.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem, right? But this was one where did he get wobbled but survive it because he was, if you like, fighting at a slightly lower standard than your Gaethjes and your whoever, your Pettis and your, this, that. I know you had a close fight with Pettis just previous, but did he get through this fight more because Niko Price isn't that standard? Obviously we know Cerrone's tough, powerful, strong, all those things. But what I'm saying is, if someone like Gaethje was in there, would he have basically got out that first round?
Well, I doubt it, because Niko did. Like you say, Niko did everything he could in the first round. Couldn't keep up that pace for the next two. Probably thought he would be able to blaze through him. Let's be honest, we've seen him get blazed through McGregor fight, right? So it's understandable why Niko Price probably thought, I should be able to blaze this bloke through. He couldn't. You can't keep that kind of fighting style up for 3 rounds. Allowed Cerrone back in it. And basically, I mean, we haven't even said this, but it was a draw, that fight. But it was a draw based on eye poke from Niko Price to Cerrone. He lost a point, and that's what was a draw. So without the eye poke to Cerrone and Niko Price losing a point, if you look at the scorecards, Cerrone would have lost. Agreed?
That's right.
Right, yeah. So he would have lost it. It doesn't matter, right? He didn't lose.
I mean, that's why I felt basically Niko Price definitely won 2 rounds to 1, but the eye poke, the point off, basically made it a 28-28, basically.
So yeah, there you go. But if you're Cerrone, I understand why you'd be thinking. I know. I do think someone said. I was listening to somebody else talking about it, and they were saying that they'd spoke to him after the fight, and they said that he was annoyed, saying it's like 5 in a row now, and they rightly so said to him, no, it's not 5 in a row. It was a draw, that one. And he went, no. We both know that without that eye poke, it'd be 5 in a row. So to me, it's 5 in a row. Again, says a lot about the guy,
Again, we like that, people being self-critical, and sort of, looking at things realistically. And that is what he's done. I mean, I think that with the way, Robbie Lawler's scheduled to fight Mike Perry.
Brilliant.
It's being made. I think depending on how Lawler looks, it might be a nice, real, main event on a fight night. If it indeed proves to be, Cerrone's last sort of fight, if he wants it to be his last fight, like you say, I'm happy for that guy to fight forever. He's one of the best there's been, right? But if he's like, nah, look, I think, I only want one more, something like a Robbie Lawler fight might be quite good as a main event. A guy who's still got a good name, good reputation. I know they've fought before, but, wouldn't that be a good one? A good scrap? Both sort of, if you like, on the downward slope of their careers kind of thing.
Well, Cerrone ain't going to have to worry about getting hit in that fight because Robbie Lawler he does a Woodley and does not throw strikes anymore.
But that is how he's been lately. And that's
but it's true.
It is again partly why I think it might be quite a good sort of fight. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Who knows, right? Maybe Cerrone, just had a bad dinner, bad camp, and maybe he'll be a bit sharper next time. But it didn't look great, let's be honest.
It didn't. It was, a sloppy fight, but it was enjoyable. There's no doubt about it. I was entertained, if you like. So, I don't know if I'm 100% on this, but I think I might have heard the name of his new kid is something like Riot River. Now, I can't 100% guarantee that, but because I heard it and didn't see it written down, I went, what? Riot River. So I made a mental note of it, but I never checked it out or whatever. What the first kid is called Danger, isn't it?
Yeah.
But and that's quite a good name, really. But if I'm right on this Riot River, what do you think about that one?
Well, his firstborn is Daxon Danger.
Ah, Daxon Danger. Yeah, I quite like that. Yeah, all right. Yeah, it does. Well, yeah, okay. It's quite a good name. Both those names, I think, are quite good. Daxon's quite good, and Danger's quite good.
It is, but it's one of those names that.
Yeah, he did it for himself. That's for him. That's for Cerrone, not the kid.
Well, no, but like even Riot River, I kind of think that sounds amazing. Like if that was in a film, if one of the guys in Young
for a name,
yeah, if one of the blokes in the Young Guns was called Daxon Danger, or one of them was called Riot River, or even if I'd be like, brilliant names, amazing. But it's just like, I don't know. There's certain things that you can't get away with.
Films though.
Do you remember The Matrix? You had Neo used to wear that long black leathery sort of PVC jacket.
I think he looked crap.
I thought he looked crap, but lots of people were like, oh, he looks really cool, and Fishburne.
Well, I'm going to bring someone up, because I'm sure he's listening. There's a mate of mine. I haven't seen him for a long, long time because he moved far away, and his name is Roofs. And I used to sit next to him in an office in one of my jobs, and he liked The Matrix, and he liked Neo, and he was one of the many people that thought he looked cool. And he bought a big, long, leather coat, exactly the same, right? And he used to get up from his desk, and even when he would say, not going to lunch, not leaving the building, so he's going down to the wearers, I'm going warehouse, pick some stuff or go and give a packing list to someone or whatever, he would always put the coat on. Doesn't matter. This wasn't a show off. This wasn't because people were watching, but you see it at the corner of your eye, right? And Bone used to be sitting in the corner, and he used to see it, right? I was right next to Roof, so you couldn't dodge it. He would grab it. He wouldn't just put it on normal. He would
spin it around like a cloak.
Tape it on, and then flap it around the front of him and walk off, right? And obviously, eventually, I'd look over at Bone and go, you just see that? And he'd laugh, thinking, I've looked at this for I think he'd worked with him for many years before that anyway. So he's like, yeah, I know about that move, trust me. And then eventually he'd bring it up and we'd laugh about it or whatever. But no, don't be nasty to Roofs. Listen, this is a wicked guy. He's a mate and everything. He didn't look like Reeves. He didn't look like Neo, right? Got a little more on him and everything, right? The rest of the clothes of Primark or George Asda or whatever, not really cut for his bod.
Badly fitting trousers, big suit and all that sort of stuff. Not wearing sunglasses. That's the point I was going to make. I used to know someone exactly the same.
It looks crap.
Right, and he used to wear one of those big black jackets, and he had his hair slicked back like Reeves. But he was about.
So did Roofs. He had slick back and all, yeah.
Right, yeah, and he was about 5'6", weighed about 7 stone, you know, and it's just like you might think you look like, you know, Neo, but you don't. And a little bit like those names, I actually think they're wicked names. Riot River, you're right, it is Riot River, and Dax and Danger. They're wicked names, right? They if you're watching a Western film and like, you know, we're looking for a posse, you know, has Dax and Danger or Riot River been here? It certainly sounds better than, you know, has Tony Parsons been through?
No, let's go with Clay, John Smith.
John Bertrand. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, they're definitely cool, wicked names. It's just when you have names like that, you have a lot to live up to. It's like David Beckham when he called his kid Romeo and stuff like that. It's like, don't give me that, because if I grow up, I'm ugly, and I don't know, whatever.
Have spots and everything, innit? Like any other kid, right?
Yeah, and I've got like a saggy gut, and you know,
stretch marks, a lot.
And then someone comes up to you and goes, "What's your name?" You go, "Romeo." You're giving them too much ammunition. Straight away, they're going to go, "Blimey, you sure about that?" You know, so it's just like, don't call yourself Casanova. Don't call yourself Don Juan.
Whoa. No. Casanova Wong, bruv.
Yeah, well, that's fine. But
amazing name, amazing.
You know, there's certain names that draw attention. You've got a lot to live up to. So if, for example, with Dax and Danger, which I don't think he will, because look at who his dad is, right? But if he grows up looking like Roque Martinez, he ain't gonna.
Nasty. Why does he have to get brought up? What's wrong with looking like Roque?
I'm just using it as an example. You know, that name conjures up a certain kind of standard of look.
Yeah, and he might be, I don't know, a computer programmer, an accountant.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Nothing wrong with it. But
an accountant, he's got to go, well, you know, here's my card, Dax and Danger.
He might be a rocket scientist, you know. These are all qual jobs, by the way, or a doctor or a vet. And it's like, you got a name like that.
As far as I'm concerned.
In Tesco's, imagine having a name badge in Tesco's.
If he ends up being
badge saying Dax and Danger, and it's like, you know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah, and you're stacking the shelves at Walmart. Yeah. So unless your name is anything, unless your occupation ends up being anything other than a cowboy.
Yeah, say he was a firefighter, powers. Yeah.
Yeah, those names ain't going to work. Yeah, exactly. Like, say, firefighter, private security, stuff like that. You know, I don't know, what team, Navy SEAL, those things are all okay. But if he does any of the other 99% of the jobs out there that are just run of the mill, he's, you know, that name's going to just look stupid. But you know, Cerrone's earned the right to call his kids whatever he wants because he's brilliant. So, and I do like the names actually. Now I'm thinking about them. They're wicked names. I just think those kids are under a lot of pressure. I was under no pressure when I got given my name, right? So
yeah, it's just a real run of the mill. Yes, me too. Yeah, no pressure to live up to nothing. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, but you know, Riot River, he's got to do stuff now.
Exactly. Yeah. Best comment. He's got to do stuff. It's true. It's true.
It's like, you know, I'm going to complain about you because you're rude to me because, you know, on the till in Walmart, what's your name? Riot River. There's no way people would go, you know, no bother. They'd go, what? And you go, Riot River, and they go, what's your real name? Exactly, and then you probably get in trouble for messing them around. They'll probably go, right, I definitely want to speak to the manager because there's no way your name's Riot River.
Yeah.
You work at Walmart. So,
same when you have to give it to the police, right, or whatever, or something like that.
Yeah,
or you've got to fill in an application form. Plenty of places where they're going to, let's say they look at the application form for a job and they're just going to look up and go, right, what's your real name?
Yeah. Imagine you're sitting in the waiting room, waiting for your interview for, like you say, I don't know, like a filing job at just a local accountant's, and somebody comes in and goes, Riot River?
Yeah. It happens in the doctor's surgery, right? It comes up on the screen written and they call it out.
Yep.
Riot River, room number 4, Riot River.
Exactly. Yeah. Everyone.
And if he's outside.
If you look crap, everyone's going to turn around and be really disappointed.
This is the thing, right? And if he's not there because, say, I don't know, he went for a wee and he's not there, then the actual nurse or doctor comes out and stands there and goes, Riot River, for flip's sake, I've called your name. They actually come out and say it. And then people go, yeah, where is this Riot River? And he's there with all grease and a crap style Neo length coat with all cracks in it where he's had it for years. Yeah. Listen, the truth is, he's off to a good start, right? He's got a very wealthy dad who's going to give him...
But yeah, he's probably all right, I imagine.
But don't forget he's set up a lot of good things, isn't he? So he's going to have... He's off to a good start with his family, and he's set up, if you like, you know. Whereas Roofs, right?
Exactly. Look, you imagine his kids are going to look good as well because Cerrone's, a pretty handsome fella. His missus, is, not a bad looking lady. Cerrone's got a good physique, a good body. I imagine he's going to have an active lifestyle, right? Because Cerrone has an active lifestyle, so he's going to be out jet skiing and all that sort of stuff with Cerrone. Probably once he hits about 3 years old, he's probably going to be like, wearing that squirrel suit and all that. So he's going to be doing like that. So he's probably going to look all right. Like you say, he's not going to be a pasty, goofy, slightly overweight, tubby
Probably
guy.
not. But he's not. But it's crap if he,
in freezing cold England. So he's
Yeah.
probably going to be all right.
He'd probably be all right. But it's like what you said about your mate who's the non-real Neo, who's small and whatever. Rufus wasn't like that. He more had a bod like Seagal. He was tall. The straight to DVD Seagal, not the early day version. So
Seagal wears those big leather jackets.
He does, right? And by the way, Rufus likes Seagal as well, a lot. But this is what, does Rufus look like Keanu Reeves and Neo? Well, Bones' nickname for Rufus, and Rufus hated this, was Mater.
I remember you saying, because of the Cars film, wasn't it?
The truck from Cars with a bent teeth. So there you have it. He used to hate it.
That tells you everything you need to know, that he didn't look like Neo.
Right, there you go. So we're going to get on to the main event, yeah?
Yep.
The main event, Colby Covington, ranked number 2, versus Tyron Woodley, who's ranked number 5. So Covington is ranked higher than him. Covington's nickname, Chaos, Colby Chaos Covington, quite good.
Crap. Next.
Well, okay. You like this one. Tyron, the Chosen One Woodley.
Yeah, garbage. Hate it.
One of the worst, isn't it? A bit, sort of...
Self-indulgent. And
that's it. Thanks, mate. That's the one.
All the stuff I don't like. So, yeah.
Yeah. Welterweight fight. Referee, Dan Mergliata, one of the best. The favourite was Covington. The winner was Covington. Round 5 by TKO on a rib injury. And... the rib is broken, by the way.
Yeah, I've seen the X-ray.
Okay, right. Obviously, Woodley sent it to you, did he?
No, I just saw it on a website.
No.
Yeah.
Woodley sent it to you.
I don't talk to that mug.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, right? There was no televised walkout for Woodley, right? Nothing, right? Televised. I'm not saying he didn't walk out. Of course he walked out, right? We weren't on TV, so I never saw his walkout. But Colby got a full walkout. Now, I don't think Wooders needs any encouragement at all to get the ump over things and favouritism, etc., etc. But I just thought, blimey, he won't even know this, we never even got to see him walk out. But Covington got the full breath. So, look, there's lots to say on this fight.
I wanted to see whether Woodley came out to falling in and out of love with you.
Brilliant. He should do. Brilliant song.
Know his own brand, isn't it?
I honestly actually like that song's grown on me for real. He comes out. Covington comes out to the wrestling music. Then he was
the medal one by Kurt Angle, isn't it?
Yeah, that's amazing. That's good. That look, this was, an easy win for Covington. He won every round up until. Well, he just won everything, didn't he? He basically won the whole thing. Look, I remember before this fight, you were saying you want to see how Wooders has got to come out. And I remember saying to you, this is nothing. Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to happen. And nothing happened. He's crap. That's it.
He's what?
He's crap.
Oh, okay. Well, I think
he's absolutely crap. I'd like to see him have a fight with Robbie Lawler. Double nose strikes. I know he's already had a fight and he blazed him out in like 2 seconds. I know that. But look, in round 4, there was 2 strikes. Let's put it this way, right? Anik is there to G up the fight, say things are good. You know it. When the fight is boring and we sit there and go, this is boring, then someone will say something like, this stuff up against the cage is the most grueling aspect and stuff like that, right? So they're there to G up the fight, whether it's exciting or boring. Well, in round 4, there was 2 strikes from Wooders and 113 from Colby.
That's landed significant strikes, isn't it?
Significance. It's so bad that even Anik is starting to read out bad stats. He said Wooders has landed, I didn't say Wooders, 83 significant strikes in his last 1 hour and 10 minutes in the octagon.
Yeah, so we're basically saying, so in 70 minutes, he's landed 83 strikes. So he's landing just over 1 strike a minute on average.
I shouldn't even know that. That got read out by John Anik. That's bad, mate. That I'm surprised he read it out. But he read that out in the fight. He's basically saying, this is crap. And it's like he's been like this for ages. And here's the proof of it.
Well, they were making quite a big deal out of the fact that he's now lost 14 consecutive rounds. And he obviously would have lost that round if the rib injury didn't. Yeah. Losing another round. But so yeah, he's lost 4 rounds. That was one thing about Covington that really annoyed me more than all the other stuff that everyone's bent out of shape over, is the fact that he said, I beat him in, I stopped him. I beat him in more convincing fashion than any of those other blokes. And to me, by the way, it was a good win for Covington, but to me, the performance wasn't as dominating as Gilbert Burns or as dominating as Usman. All this sort of stuff, I broke him, I made him quit. Of course, he was fighting him when he broke his rib. So, of course, he caused that injury. And if Woodley's going to claim that he bust up Condit's leg, then Covington can claim that he bust up Woodley's rib. But it was a bit more of a freak injury. And it definitely wasn't as convincing, I think, as Burns or Usman.
I agree with that.
Yeah. But what I will say about Woodley...
It doesn't need to be, because it was against Wooders, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that guy...
There's nothing coming back. Nothing.
Yeah.
Every now and then he gritted his teeth. I don't know if you saw it. The teeth come out and he threw a punch. I also listened to an interview beforehand where Matt Serra was saying to him, look, everyone hates Colby. He's wrong there. But, he said everyone hates Colby. Does it make a difference to you losing to someone like that? Losing is fine, but he said, you can't lose to a bloke like that. And he was like, yeah, 100%, I can't lose to this guy. You're going to lose if you don't fight, right? This is an experienced fighter, former champion. Every single corner chats this bloke has are exactly the same. You need to up your offense. You need to start throwing, right? Oh, I've been training with Masvidal to get my mind right, got to start throwing. All this stuff that we know. Okay, I didn't have the stats, but Anik's giving me the stats now. We still knew about it. It means he knows about it, right? He knows why he lost those fights. But you're going to keep having fights and doing the same thing. I said it before this fight. I went, no, not interested in Wooders. You said, I'm interested to see how he comes out. Blah, blah. And I said to you, I ain't interested. That's it, man. I don't forget it. Just forget it. We haven't thought he's good ever. The only time I thought he was good was Jay Heron. Since that, I've never thought he was good. Even the wins have not been good. Okay, Robbie Lawler. What was the other one? There was the other one against the Korean fella, the fight in China or something. He done a spinning elbow thing. That was quite good. There's been a couple of good ones, but for ages, ain't been good.
Yeah, it's like if I throw 100 darts at dartboard, a couple are going to go in the bullseye, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because he's powers, right? I mean, but he ain't, I don't know. I want to get into a smash with him, but he ain't fights.
Well, I mean, I've got so much to say about Tyron Woodley.
The floor is yours. I mean, because, I'll respond to the things you've said, but I'm done with the guy.
Like, what you said at the start, right? Where I was saying that I was quite interested to see how he responded. The only reason I was interested to see how he responded was because he was fighting somebody who he had so much beef with. And I thought his last couple of fights have been so submissive and he's been so passive in there. And I thought to myself, if there's one person that's going to bring out some sort of fire or some sort of emotion, some sort of desire to win, it's going to be Colby. And I thought, even if it means that, I don't know, say Colby does land a big shot early or takes him down and then he goes back into his submissive, passive shell, I thought at least for a couple of minutes we might see a bit of a Meerschaert Bektic wild man sort of version of Woodley. Maybe. I wasn't convinced. I was just saying maybe. Now, the thing for me is the last few fights, we've said we've liked people who have been self-critical, who analyse themselves. We liked it when Glover said he was rubbish in the Bader fight, even though he won. We said we liked it about Cerrone. We said we like it about Kevin Holland, both on this card, when they kind of go, nah, I weren't very good there, or I got lucky, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This was the thing with Woodley, when I keep hearing all this, my mind weren't in the right space, or this was wrong, or that was wrong. All I hear there is, it's not me, it's something else. It's not me. It's the fact that I was concentrating on music. That's why I was crap. It's not me. It's the fact I was training at the wrong gym.
He don't even give you the reason. He just says, it weren't me in there and stuff like that.
Exactly.
It was you.
It's not me. That's what I'm saying. That's the key thing, right? When Cerrone is talking about how his performance against Niko Price wasn't good, he takes ownership and takes responsibility for it.
Yeah.
Same as Kevin Holland. I didn't win that fight. I want to run it back. He wants to settle it in his own head. He wants to go, no, I can beat Darren Stewart. I'm going to prove it, not to myself, but to everybody else as well. Woodley, when I hear him talking about it, it's all like, ain't my fault. Ain't my fault that I lost that fight. My head weren't in the right place. Ain't my fault. I was distracted. Yeah. This weren't my fault that I done rubbish. I got bored. It's always somebody and something else's fault. And that's a real red flag, because what he should have been saying is, I was crap. I need to sort it out. It was my fault that I was getting distracted by other stuff. I'm going to fix it. And I don't see enough of that. I see too much of sort of like, he says those kinds of things, but you don't feel like he's taking ownership of them. He feels he's someone who feels like the world's against him. And that's how he's felt ever since, do you remember when he was waiting for the title shot? It was all like, I'm going to sit out and wait. I'm going to sit out and wait. And he sat out and waited.
I remember.
Flipping ages. And you get those fighters, right, those wicked fighters who put their title shots and stuff on the line, or their rankings on the line, because they want to keep busy. They want to keep fighting. And even back then, we knew this guy ain't a real fighter. Now, I'm going to clarify what I mean by that. For anyone,
it's a shame we weren't doing a podcast back then, but we weren't. But we weren't chatting, and we were chatting, but we weren't chatting to the world. We weren't doing a podcast back then. So, but you're right. We fought this for a long time. Sorry.
Yeah, and even back then, right, we were saying that he's obviously a fighter, right? He's obviously a big, strong, athletic, tough. I know you hate people saying that, but big, strong, athletic, tough guy, and all these kinds of things. And you know what? He ain't a tough guy.
Not a tough guy.
No, not at all. That was the wrong word. He has got mental strength of that bloke is.
And by the way, we're not talking about for real. We're literally look. We've got to clarify this, right? We're talking about UFC. We're talking about his job. We're talking about the sport. We're talking about the actual bloke here. Yeah, we're talking about the performance and what we see in the cage, in the sport. Doesn't mean he ain't tough outside and he can't bust someone up in Starbucks. All right. We're just talking about what we see in the cage, just to clarify.
Everything I'm talking about here is not about him personally, because I don't know the bloke. I'm talking about the only things I can know about him, because that's what I see in the fights. He's not a tough guy. He's submissive. He's passive. When he's in a real firefight, he isn't a Wanderlei Silva, Brian Stan, Hornet's Nest bloke. He is a bloke that is timid, recoils, shy, backs away, all those kinds of things. He's not a tough guy. He's not a guy I can imagine, really, fighting through the fire and all, like a Matt Brown.
Once he gets overwhelmed, he breaks and just goes, forget it. I can't win then. Forget it.
Yeah. And you could see it after the first round, he went back to that corner and I went, well, unless he lands a right hand, this fight's over. This is just going to be the same thing again. And it was the same thing I saw in the Usman fight. It's the same thing I saw in the Gilbert Burns fight. If I was his corner man, I'd be so frustrated. I'd be throwing that sponge in his face and going, wake up. You're embarrassing yourself. You're humiliating yourself. Do something or just throw in the towel. I'm happy to tell you who you are. Forget it. He's not.
Don't make me turn up for this. You're wasting my time here. You know what I mean? Don't make me stand. Come out in your corner and put a stool down and put ice on your neck. If you ain't going to do out in between. Look, we'll give one example. What was that bloke's name? The away bloke, Jackson, Dawson or something. Yeah. Was that his name? What was his name?
Damon Jackson.
Dawson, stupid. Damon Jackson, the complete opposite, right? A guy that was having adversity, losing a fight, and didn't give up mentally and just went, no, I can still win this. Totally different.
If that cornerman's Safe or whatever, is that his name? Safe? I've forgotten.
Safe Saud, yeah.
Safe Saud. If he was in Woodley's corner, I guarantee by about round 4, he'd have been screaming. He'd be going, what are you doing? Do you want to win this fight or what?
Probably would have gone home.
Because this ain't the first time, bruv. This has happened 5 rounds in 2 fights ago. It happened 5 rounds in the following fight. I'm now standing here in the 14th consecutive round asking you, do you want to fight or not? Because you're not trying anything. You're not
Yeah.
looking like someone who wants to fight.
The same as Henry Hooft, right?
Heading. Yeah, Henry
He did
Hooft.
in the last fight, Robbie Lawler. He went, "What are you doing? Yeah, you got to do something, Robbie. What are you doing? You know."
Yeah.
And it's true.
He's just submissive. He's passive. To me, he's Bob Sapp Mark II. He's in there to pick up a paycheck.
Oh,
and
bloody hell.
He ain't interested in having a fight. He's proved it. 14 straight rounds. And this is something where he's basically shown no. If someone's in there to beat me up, smash my face in, I might get knocked out, but I'm going to show some resolve and desire to overcome that person. He doesn't. He backs up, he plods around the cage, he wipes the sweat off his face, and he does nothing for, 10 rounds, right? 15 rounds, sorry, 5 minutes a round. That's now 1 hour 15. I've watched that guy plod around the cage.
I know.
Wasted my time, right? And I know people go, oh, so what? It's his career. Yeah, that's right.
No. Yeah, okay. I don't have to like it.
I'm allowed my opinion on it. He's putting it on national telly. I'm watching it. It's garbage. I've seen it in the previous fights. I saw it with his fight. We saw it that he didn't have, if you like, look, people going like, he's still one of the greatest welterweights of all time. Is he het?
How?
Is he het?
Even in the fights where he squeezed through Wonder Boy and all those fights, and Maya, they weren't good.
He ain't even as good as Rory McDonald, who never won the belt.
No.
He ain't as good as McDonald. No chance.
But listen, look at the fights he won. So, Wonder Boy Thompson and Damian Maya and all that. Even these fights where you could go, he won, they were still nothing fights. I ain't saying he didn't win them. I know he won them. I watched them. I didn't think it was. I know he won those fights, but they weren't fights. They were crap. Again, he basically did the same in those fights. He was just against different fighters.
The only reason that Thompson fight, or the Thompson fights were okay, admittedly, I put more of the blame at Wonder Boy's door. I didn't expect he got all that blame at all. Woodley got all the blame, and I was like, but he's the champ. Wonder Boy Thompson is doing nothing, and the only bits of, if I remember those fights now, the only bits I can remember is Wonder Boy looking like he'd just been, punched into.
Yeah, Wood has almost done him. Yeah, smashed him out.
That was the time where Woodley was getting heat, where I was like, nah, Woodley don't deserve this. By the way, there are some good things he's done, right? But if he doesn't catch you with that overhand right, forget it. Then he's lost the fight, And he's not even. He caught lightning in a bottle. He won the belt. When he won it, I was just like, I can't believe he's sort of got the title shot. He lost to Rory McDonald. He beat Dong Young Kim, who's a decent fighter, right?
I think he's quite good, yeah.
But he's not the most active. He squeaked past Kelvin Gastelum on a split decision. And from that, he got a title shot.
Yeah.
After that, he obviously beat Lawler convincingly. He beat Darren Till convincingly.
I actually think the Till one was good.
Yeah, that's probably his best performance, right?
Honestly, it is. Right. He reacted to what happened.
That overhand right. What has Tyron Woodley got? I don't think he'd ever won a fight in his life.
Okay, he's. I'll be honest. He's got that and a leg kick from one side only, from on the outside of your leg and from his side only. That's all he has. Right hand and a leg kick. That's it. 2 moves. I don't even see wrestling.
No, do I? Sometimes he uses it in a defensive capacity, but I don't see it enough offensively. For a guy who is obviously an amazing wrestler. I see
him picking people up, taking them down. I don't see him putting his arms around people's, hips or thighs and dragging them down. I see nothing. Nothing.
I'll tell you what, when he knocked out Koscheck, I thought that was an amazing knockout. Really good, swift, powerful, sharp counter punches that sent Koscheck into space, right? And I actually thought, this guy is good because, like say, you had the hair-on fight as well.
Yeah, that was amazing.
I know the Jake Shields fight was rubbish and he just got pushed up against the fence. And that was kind of a warning sign that he can just be, if you like, out-grinded, out-worked, out-mentally battled, whatever you want to call it. But, Koscheck fight was good. Obviously, Condit injured his leg with the leg kicks, as you mentioned there. But then again, against McDonald, when it seemed that he couldn't win that fight or he couldn't land that one big blockbuster punch, shut down mentally.
There's no way.
We've been really harsh on him, but it's because it's so frustrating. No. You watch 15 rounds of somebody who looks bored, disinterested, don't want to be there, no fight, no passion, no willpower, no resolve, no fortitude, no nothing.
Exactly.
And
what does he want me to watch?
Yeah, how do you expect me to still remain a fan after watching the last 15 rounds?
Exactly. This is it. This is it. It's not our fault. Just going off what we see, right?
Yeah.
There's not a chance in hell that in training he just throws one leg kick from one side to one part of the body and one right hand. There's no way that's all he does in training. It can't be. It can't be.
I don't know who his coach, whether his coaches have been the same for the last 3 fights. I don't know.
It was Rufus for a while, wasn't it? Duke Rufus for a while. Yeah, it was for a while.
But let's just say, if it was, I'm just
what's
saying.
What's his name before that? Was it American Top Team before that?
Right, yeah. But I'm just talking about theoretically speaking. I'm not. It doesn't matter. The point I'm making is, if I was his coach for the last 3 fights, I would be saying to him, you need to call it a day, or I don't think I can coach you anymore, because this is, there's people out there who want my time, who are going to appreciate my time and are going to do something with it. And I don't care. Listen, I don't care if they're not as good as you or haven't got the potential you've got or any of this. I know that when they get in there, they're going to give it their all. And I don't see that from you. And there must be nothing more frustrating than, because don't forget, coaches have to wake up early in the morning. Coaches
of course.
Have to go to the gym on time. Coaches have to study
take their time away from someone else.
And all that stuff. And if I'm going to invest that time in you and you get in there and you just show no, people will go, yeah, well, you ain't been in there, what if? But Colby wasn't being devastating or throwing anything of outrageous power that makes you go, oof, blimey, yeah, you want to cover up. And even if he was, so what? That's your job. You're a fighter. And you've done it for 3 consecutive fights now. I could not be bothered with it if I was his coach. I'd just be like, forget it. This is just not for you. And I wanted to get on to the technical aspect of the fight that was just doing my nutting.
All right, but before you do, because we'll stick to the same point. A long time ago, you said something about John Maguire, someone who you really, really like. Do you remember what you said?
Yep. If he can't be bothered, I can't be bothered.
There you go. And by the way, big fans of the guy, right?
I still am now. Follow him on Twitter. Maguire's brilliant. Jokes, eating all these donuts.
He's brilliant.
Yeah, John the One Maguire. But there was obviously that one fight, I can't remember what it was, where he got a late notice opportunity. He had a really bad fight. It might have been against Hathaway, or Hathaway might have been the final fight he had.
Yeah, he did have one bad one, yeah.
Which was very reminiscent of Tyron Woodley. He looked like afraid to pull the trigger. I'm passive. I'm willing to throw for whatever reason, I don't know. But anyway, he had a fight like that, and I thought maybe that was an anomaly. He stepped in on late notice to fight. It might have been John Hathaway or someone else, and he was giving it all the chat again, like, look, I didn't do very well last time, but I'm gonna prove myself this time. I'm gonna show that was an anomaly. And he went in there and done the same thing, and and it's because I like him that I was so frustrated with it.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I just went, if you can't be bothered, John, I can't be bothered. And by the way, I can be bothered because I've followed his career since, right? So I do still like the guy. But I'm just saying, at that point, when I was watching that telly, and if I was talking about it like I'm talking about Woodley with you now, I'll be the same thing. If you can't be bothered, I can't be bothered. Because
this is the thing. If you want to tune in,
when he does do a little bit of fighting, he looks dangerous, right? Looks right. When a couple of times in that fight for about 20 seconds in a couple of the rounds where he looked like he got a bee in his bonnet, and he did respond, and he did do something. It was just for 20 seconds. But in those 20 seconds, I thought he could do Covington here.
Of course he could.
He's
capable.
2 seconds later, he's trotting around the side of the cage, wiping his face for 4.5 minutes.
Yeah, then once his teeth came out, he threw the big right hand, and Colby just went whoop, straight underneath it, bang, on his crack.
Yeah.
Just anyway, go on, technical aspects. I'm ready.
Okay, I don't want to spend too long on it because it's irrelevant now. The technical aspects.
Hey, people might find it interesting. I guarantee I'll find it interesting. Some people like this stuff, breaking down the fights, chatting about it. So let's have it.
I won't break it down too much, but what we've just said there is Woodley, when he's at his most dangerous, is when that right hand, when he's a big, powerful guy, right, and when he's got that right hand as a threat, landing that big overhand right. I personally don't like it. I hate the setup for it and everything. I think he's a garbage boxer, but I'm just saying that is obviously a dangerous punch. If you get clobbered with that punch, it's going to do anything.
Perfect scenario is the Darren Till, because he did the pullback right hand. That's a perfect example. Darren Till made that right hand. It's the perfect, setup for Woodley's right hand.
Yeah, because he basically met the punch. He ran into the punch. And so and I'm really glad because when Tyron Woodley was having his run, so to speak, me and you were saying, why are people falling for this same right hand move? What the hell is wrong with him? Especially, it was surprising for us with Wonder Boy because obviously he is such a decorated striker. Like, why are people falling for this right hand? And the problem was, no one seemed to be doing the most basic thing that would have eliminated it. And that is what has happened over the last 3 fights.
Okay, but if we were doing the podcast at the time, the coaches would have been listening to it like they do now, and it would have been, would have got done a long time ago, right? But now, but by all means, enlighten us now.
So if you look when Woodley, let's just take this.
Tell me what to do. I'm having a fight with Wooders. I'm scared of the right hand. Tell me what to do.
Right. So let's just take this last fight, because the Colby fight's the easiest one to sort of discuss it. So Woodley, obviously, his big punch is the right hand. So he wants to be able to throw that right hand. He throws it with a bit of a loop, right? But you basically want to be able to have as clear access to somebody's face with that right hand as possible.
Is his rear hand right? He's orthodox fighter,
yeah,
correct?
He's an orthodox fighter. So his power punch, if you like, is his backhand, which is his right hand. Now, he was fighting Colby, and I believe Usman might be in a southpaw as well. So I think, and I'm not sure about
you're right.
I think Burns is orthodox. But Usman showed the perfect way, and it goes back to what we were saying earlier about foot position. And Usman was making sure that his right foot, so his lead foot, was on the outside of Woodley's lead foot, which is his left foot. And by doing that, Usman had a clear channel with his backhand, and Woodley did not have a clear channel with his backhand.
Mm-hmm.
And as you saw, Woodley done now in that fight. Now, this was the same. Covington is a southpaw, and Woodley is an orthodox. Now, the thing that was driving...
You know that. I know that. So Wooders knows that, and his coach knows that, right?
Right. So the thing that was driving me absolutely mental was, one, he was circling into the power hand. So he was circling to his right, so towards Colby's backhand, his left hand. Now, Colby's not a big concussive puncher, so I've not got too big an issue with that, right? Even though it's technically, you could argue, not the correct thing to do. So what, right? Like I said, I don't get too bent out of shape about people.
Easiest and most natural way to move for an orthodox fighter, though, right?
Absolutely, that's correct, yeah. So he was moving, if you like, his most natural way, which is his right foot first and his left foot follows, and he was moving to his right. But the thing with that is, because he's fighting a southpaw, that means he is surrendering that outside foot position willingly the whole fight. And by doing that, he is giving himself basically 0% chance of landing that backhand. The only way he can now land that backhand is if he masks changing direction of his foot position, say behind a jab, a feint, or what have you. So he's moving towards his right. He then, say, throws a double jab. When he throws that double jab, he creeps that lead foot, that left foot, back round Colby's lead foot, and then he's created the path by disguising it with the jabs. He's created that clear path to throw his right hand.
Yes, a simple way of looking at it for someone who's not looking at it as a boxer or a striker or whatever is that if he wants to get the right hand in with the incorrect foot positioning that he's in, he's got to lean over way too much to get it across, right? He's got to, you know, he can't, like they say, the path ain't there. He's got to go over there to get it. By the time he's got over there, he's overreaching, the power's gone. Yeah,
absolutely. So that was going to be my follow-up point.
Oh, sorry.
So the problem he has there is, because he's moving to his right for the whole fight, he's surrendering that lead foot position. Woodley basically doesn't have a jab, so he doesn't have the ability to, if you like, mask moving his lead foot back towards the outside, you know, by alternative means or throwing feints, because he don't do anything. He just keeps plodding, surrendering that lead foot position. And like you say, because he's surrendering that lead foot position, on the odd occasion where he did throw the right hand, he's overreaching, he's punching across his own body.
Right.
So by the time the punch gets there, it's of little to no threat.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why Darren Till got done, and the reason why Robbie Lawler got done, he wasn't overreaching. Darren Till closed the distance and moved into his right hand. That's why it was so damaging when he got caught by it. He doubled the impact of the shot by moving into it. But this whole Covington fight, he was moving to his right, basically surrendering the only weapon he had, which was his backhand. Because whenever he threw it, he was having to reach so far. I mean, I don't even know if he ever landed it, but he was having to reach so far because he was having to reach across his own body. By the time it got to Covington, it was really at the dying embers of the strike. So there was no power on it anyway. He didn't have his full body weight behind it because he was throwing it at a weird angle across his own body, if you like, falling into the strike.
Mm.
So He didn't even have that.
It wasn't
I
dangerous.
I don't know if his corner said to him, "Listen, bruv, try moving the other way."
I'm not blaming the corner. There's the corners tell him to fight at least, and he don't do that. You can't blame the corners for this.
They had nothing to work with. But say, for example, what he should have been doing is, firstly, stop putting your back up against the fence. Right,
mate. Yeah.
He should be.
JDS has taught us that, right?
Take the range.
JDS has taught us that.
Who taught us that?
JDS. Dos Santos. Stop putting your back up against the fence, right? Look what happens.
Yep. The same, when he got done by Velasquez, and he gave himself nowhere to go. And the same with Woodley. But fine, if you are going to be along that cage, right? Because many people don't shoot in on Woodley and stuff like that, because he is a good wrestler and this and the other. So him being against the cage, a little bit less damaging for him because he knows how to fight off it, so to speak. But if you are going to be on that cage and you are going to plod around it, then do stuff like throw a jab, throw a little left hook. So what you do is when you throw a jab, that's a mask, right? That gets someone thinking defensively, okay?
Makes them react to something.
Yeah, makes them, but more often than not, especially because MMA fighters are a little less, sort of good at slipping and ducking, rolling and all this sort of stuff. They will generally either take a step back or they will put the earmuffs on, right? There's only a few that are good at sort of like parrying and countering immediately, this and that. Throw the jab, get Colby thinking defensively rather than offensively for the next split second or two. From there, you throw a left hook, a throwaway left hook. So you just throw it round the side. So you bring Colby's hand backwards, his right hand to the back of his head to cover more his ear area, to cover the hook. When you throw the hook, you step with your lead foot, your Woodley's left foot, and you step to the outside. This is what I'm saying about masking where you're putting your lead foot. Step to the outside of Covington's lead foot.
Yeah.
What you do now is you've totally opened that pathway to the right hand.
And gained some distance. You've got in on him a bit more because you're throwing a hook, so you've stepped in. So
done the jab. Covington's thinking defensively. Throw a left hook. It only has to be a snappy little left hook. That's not the meaty punch.
No,
yeah. It's the right hand. So you throw the left hook. That brings Covington's defensive hand back towards, say, his temples and around his ear. He's defending that hook. Because you've now moved your lead foot to the outside of Covington's lead foot, you now have that clear pathway and an even bigger target, because that hand that is sometimes, say, that Covington's right hand that would sometimes be in front of his chin, in front of his face, has now
defends,
the back of where, say, his temple is or his ear is, and you can drill that right hand straight down the middle. You give yourself a chance to win the fight. Just do that 3 or 4 times every round for me. Do nothing.
He only needs it. He only needs it to work once. You know that.
Of course it does, yeah. Do the rest of the stuff you want to do. Wipe your face, plod around for God knows how long. Do what you want to do, but please just throw that combination 2 or 3 times in a round for me. Please.
Well, I'm sort of glad he didn't.
When you throw the jab, it occupies Colby's lead hand, right? So Colby's, like I say, he's not the only punch he can throw now is his backhand. But because you're stepping out with your left hook towards his outside his lead,
it makes Colby's power hand less effective, doesn't it?
But it's also going to miss because you're stepping out of that trajectory of that punch.
He's putting Colby in the position that Wooders was in himself. Colby's having to overreach and he ain't got the right angle.
That's right, exactly right. But he didn't. I don't know if his corner told him this or they drilled it or done it. I know that they were talking to a brick after the first round, but he's so frustrating. He's the most overrated. If you want to talk about the GOAT, he's the GOAT of being overrated. He's the most overrated fighter in UFC history. I hope it's his last fight because he's bored the arse off me now for an hour.
Ages.
And
even the fights he won were crap unless they were speed knockout ones. They were all boring.
Yeah. These telltale signs have been in this fighter, in the Jake Shields fight, in the Nate Marquardt fight, in the Damian Maia fight. They've been on this isn't people are treating this submissiveness and this passiveness like it's an anomaly. Like, what's happened to Woodley? Oh my God, there's something's changed.
Oh my God, that's so annoying, isn't it? Yeah.
The whole time. It's just he landed enough big right hands on lower level competition or on competition that didn't know that the right hand was so lethal for long enough to build up a bit of a reputation, win the belt, good for him, make himself rich. Now go away.
They're still saying it now. They're saying, there must be something wrong there mentally. And she's just not very good, guys, And
you might have to face up to that fact.
And stop telling me that
welterweight of all time.
I've got to accept that he's good and like him, or I'm crap and a nasty gizzer or whatever. It's like, no, I just think he's rubbish. You know, I haven't seen him.
As bad as Lawler's recent, sorry to interrupt, but as bad as Lawler's recent run is, I think Lawler's a better welterweight of all time.
Of course he is.
His fights were amazing. You know, all those the Condit fight, the McDonald fight. You know, they're amazing. Just for that alone, he is a better welterweight of all time than Woodley. And like I say, so is Rory McDonald.
But
hell, Cerrone, I prefer Cerrone as a welterweight to bloody.
And he ain't a welterweight. He's a lightweight. He's like
I know. He came up to welterweight for a few fights, didn't he?
No, Cerrone's always fighting at welterweight. I'm just saying that to me, he's a lightweight. Should be a lightweight. He should only fight.
I agree. I agree with that. Yeah.
He's a lightweight fighter. I got no problem with him not cutting weight and doing welterweight. I'm just saying that his division is lightweight, in my opinion. Sorry, Donald. But okay, so you've said that Wooders is crap and why he's crap. But can we give a bit of respect to Colby for making Woodley crap? Because do you not think that he did have good coaching and he's a good fighter for keeping that position and making that right hand not dangerous? Because I think it's partly it's because of his southpaw footwork and stance, right? But the truth is, he looks to me like he did know how to, negate that right hand. Agreed?
Yeah.
That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah. Listen, anyone that fights Tyron Woodley, I mean, I'll be surprised if they're not listening to this podcast. But if they don't listen to this podcast, all you got to do is just protect yourself from that right hand. If it don't land in the first 3 minutes, then you've basically got the next 12, or if it's a main event, 22.
And a lot of people haven't done that, or haven't, like you say, in the early fights, realised how to do it. And to me, Colby's qual, because he just, to me, it's the perfect blueprint. People have beaten Woodley better than that, if you like, or more dominantly than that. But I'm just saying the way that Colby did it was sound, if you like, No danger, no issues, a guaranteed win.
I think, I think we both agreed before when Covington started with all these, his controversial, gimmicky shtick, all this sort of, whatever. I hate Brazilians and all that kind of stuff. When he started around that, we were a little bit like, he's doing this to get noticed because he is a pretty average, boring fighter. I think that's what we both kind of felt.
Yeah.
What I'm going to say is, since he started doing that stick and all that, I do think his skills have actually come up a lot.
Well, I agree.
In the Usman fight, that he is a real fighter, that, smashed in jaw or whatever, that guy will try and win and will put his body on the line.
He didn't get sparked out in that fight. He got stopped by the ref. He didn't say it was over.
But he was smashed in for ages. He stood in harm's way for that whole fight. And I think he doesn't get enough credit because people don't like him and don't like his persona that he's putting out there.
Absolutely, yeah. They keep going on about that and nothing to do with the fights. Look, they do say, and I can't stand the premise, I'm going to say it, but this is not me saying it. It's coming out of my mouth, but it's from other people. Regardless of what you think of him, the guy can fight. It's like, yeah, okay, don't worry about what you think of him. I actually think that the so-called fake version of him, the character, if you like, is brilliant. It's made him better, made him interesting, made him watchable, made you tune in. I like it. I've got no issue with it. I like it. It's good. It's enjoyable for me. I've just told you that I like, Kevin Holland because he does chats. I like the gizzards that do chats, whether it's in or outside the cage. I like it. And I like that he does chats. He don't do no chats in the cage though, right? When he gets in the cage, it's business, it's work. Yeah, and he wants to win that fight. He's good.
Yeah,
everything is.
Like you say, good. We differ slightly on those fighters because obviously you like stuff like say Nassim Hamed and all these kinds of things, whereas I'm a little less sort of into that kind of stuff. But like you say, the facts are that guy has shown now, I think, over his most recent body of work, so to speak, that he is a real fighter. He's taking it seriously. He's improving his skills all the time. He's outstriking people. Let's be honest. When he first got in there and stuff, he was a boring grinding, get you up against the cage, try and lock your hands together, get you on the floor and pity-pat you for 15 minutes. I'm sorry, probably even by his own admission, if you watch his old fights, he'd agree that, right? That's what he needs to be. But obviously, in the background, he's been learning how to strike. And I'm not great. I'm not a big fan of his strikes. A lot of his punches land with the elbow sort of, without the elbow fully extended and stuff. I'm not a huge fan of his boxing. But he outstrikes people. He stands in the pocket. He puts his face in harm's way. He grits his teeth. He grinds through it. He beats people up. He fights non-stop. There is a hell of a lot to like about that guy.
Good defense as well. Uses kicks, not overly use them. Use them when he see. Listen, pretty much every kick that bloke throws hits a target. Let me tell you that, right? He don't just throw kicks. He's not
even
a
if
kicker.
someone blocks him, he still hits the bulk of the body in front of him. So
exactly. He don't just throw. You know, a lot of people throw kicks or whatever, and then people block them and all that. Nothing wrong with doing that, by the way. I'm just saying, when he throws a kick, it's because he's seen a raw bit of body, and most of them. Well, to be honest, I don't remember if there's a kick that ain't got in. You didn't see him throwing kicks and spinning around and missing, do you? He throws them when he's in range. He throws them when he sees a target. All of these things, they are not natural things. They are signs of someone who is trained. That's what they are. And it's that simple.
I don't think he gets enough credit for that, for transforming himself from being a boring, grinding wrestler, because they're the facts. That's if someone asked me 2 years ago, or whatever it was, Covington, I'd have gone, boring, grinding American wrestler, can't be bothered. When he's on a card, I want to fast forward it. That would be the truth. Now, forget all the Make America Great Again, all that stuff. I don't give a monkeys about that. I'm there to watch fights, right? I watch UFC to get away from politics and all the stuff that's going on in the world. And of course, these people are all bringing it in. Colby's bringing it in. Tyron's bringing it. All these people are bringing it in. And that's fine. Say what you want. I don't want restrictions put on people. What I'm saying is, on the whole, what gets me excited about those events is someone fighting well. And he is fighting well. He's improved himself loads. If someone asked me now, Covington, I wouldn't say boring, grinding wrestler. I'd go, nah. Guy with good cardio, strong wrestling, decent, good striking. If he's going to win a fight, he can win it all manner of ways. He can outgrind someone. He can win by decision. He can submit people because they're all fatigued. He can knock people out. He can do everything. And he doesn't get enough credit for that because of all the blinded by this controversial comments.
Who cares?
They're not commenting on the big transformation he's made. The guy is really good. He deserves credit for it. But one thing he needs to stop, and he needs to stop it now. You know what that is?
No, because he's brilliant.
He needs to stop calling out Masvidal. Because
he does need to stop doing that.
Right? Masvidal is one of my favourites ever. Right?
Yeah.
He also needs to stop having a dig at Poirier because, as you know...
Yeah, he's brilliant as well.
Poirier is one of my favourites of all time ever. So he needs to stop picking on those two. Shut your face. If anything, can you start training with Masvidal again? Because that would be brilliant.
It would be good, but he's agreed that he's got no mates and he hates everyone. He's agreed.
I know he's agreed that, but honestly, do you remember the time when Bisping had that beef with Masvidal? And I was like, damn it, man. Bisping's one of my favourites. Masvidal's one of my favourites. Can those two not have a beef?
Yeah, because I agree.
And then they became mates, didn't they? Do you remember they became mates? I was like, I genuinely was like, brilliant. Masvidal and Bisping are mates. You know, the world felt 0.01% a bit better. And that's how I feel with Masvidal and Poirier.
Yeah.
You know, let bygones be bygones. You used to be mates. Be mates again. You'd be the best group of fighters, mates, and blokes in it. Stop being silly. Stop messing around. Don't fight each other.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. He should have them as comrades, for sure.
Yeah. That's really annoying me. Leave Masvidal alone.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's listening to the show. So maybe he will take heed. I don't know. It might go against what he's doing, but we'll see.
Called him out. He said he only wants Usman or Street Judas or whatever. It's like leave him alone. He's brilliant. I don't want. It's like when you see. I just don't want to see them two fight because I really, really like Masvidal.
I don't want either of them to. Don't want to see either of them get done or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not even that big a Covington fan. As in, like, he's not one of the guys. I really Poirier. That's one of my top blokes. Masvidal, one of my top blokes. We're talking about guys who are like, no, they are my real favourites. Everything about them, I think, is brilliant. Covington ain't like that, but it's just like, can you stop? Can you stop? Can you? I know you do, but I'm just saying, can you stop picking on Masvidal, please? There's plenty of other guys to have a smash with.
That's true. Right.
Just have a smash with Leon Edwards. I like Leon Edwards because he's Ingers, but have a smash with Leon Edwards. Have a smash with Usman. There's loads of other people. Leave Masvidal alone. All right? Simple as
Well,
that.
like I say, I don't know if he's going to listen in to you. I don't know if he's going to take any notice of you. They're two different things. But, I will say a little bit more. I mean, we've said plenty on Wooders and plenty on Covington, but I'll just say a little bit more from him. Like you say, doesn't get enough credit for his striking and everything. And if you ask me, who's a better striker, Colby Covington or Kevin Holland? I'd say Kevin Holland, right? But look at the last two performances on the same card. One bloke was throwing anything at anything and winging shots, and Covington wasn't doing that. That is very difficult, as we can see by looking at all the fights that we watch. It's very difficult to either not mimic what you're shown on the pads, bam, bam, 2, 1, 1, 2, this, that, bam, slip underneath, roll underneath, right hand, all the run-of-the-mill stuff, right, that you learn on the pads, even in boxercise and everything. Some people just do that. Some people just throw out anything. I'm not saying he's an aim and fire bloke, right? But what I am saying is when he's throwing stuff, it's either to confuse, get to a position where he wants to be, or it's because he's seen an opening, or it's just to keep busy and score points and win that fight. He's good. He's decent. And he's learned striking, and it shows.
Yeah,
So,
and I rate him for that, because there's too many people that get into this sport and you don't see any marked improvement in them over a long period of time. If anything, you see a decline as they kind of get a bit older and a bit more worn out.
yeah.
He's one of the sort of few guys who bucks that trend, who, like I say, he's come in there as a boring one-dimensional fighter. And you'd now say his wrestling is the secondary aspect to his game, right? When was the last time you saw him having a wrestle-heavy fight? He's in there beating people up with strikes.
Still striking.
And he'll mix in wrestling, because guess what? He's a mixed martial artist and he's got good wrestling. But the facts are, 99% of the time now, he's there beating people up with strikes, right? He was out Woodley. He stood and had a tear up with Usman for the whole fight. Robbie Lawler, a hella dangerous striker, stood there for the whole
slapped
fight.
him up.
Santos, strikes. Damian Maia, he was cautious, but again, that was all strikes, right? It wasn't really much. I can't really remember it, but so he deserves a lot of credit. Forget all the stuff. If you don't like his politics, you don't like his politics. It doesn't matter.
Who cares?
Don't like Woodley's politics. Who cares? You're watching this stuff because you're into the fights. Forget all that other garbage that goes with it. It's just there to make money, sell fights, create controversy. These people will have personalities. Some you like, some you don't. You like Johnny Walker, you hate John Dodson. But just let's look at if we're just looking from a fighting aspect, he's made some big transformations and he's good. And that's all I'm bothered about at the moment.
Same as anything, same as an actor or whatever, or I don't like him or I don't like what he stands for. It doesn't mean I'm not going to watch his latest film or anything like that. It's the same sort of thing, really. It don't matter. It makes no difference, really. Why would it?
These are all big, strong, grown men. They can handle it. I know we're getting a little bit into, the post-fight comments and all that. Listen, I'd be amazed if Usman's actually really annoyed about that. And guess what? If he is, he's got the ultimate proving ground to go in there and exact revenge. So, and I'm sure he will. I'm sure Usman don't care about that comment, because guess what? He's a big, strong, tough lad who's probably heard way worse in his life. If you want to get onto the discussion of, is it a good look for the UFC to have comments like that on the show? Well, we'll have to do a separate chat about that.
The answer is yeah.
All chatted out.
The answer is yeah, because it creates the controversy. I think he's brilliant. You think he's not you. I'm just saying people go, I like this guy. I don't like this guy, or whatever. It creates that in turn creates interest and numbers and then money. That's what it is. So to me, it is right. There's no such thing as bad press and all that stuff. There can be, but you know what I mean. Look at McGregor, right? Flipping trolleys at coaches and stuff like that, and they ended up making money out of it and bringing a big fight. And they used the trolley vids of the trolley, something that was supposedly bad press and bad on the sport and bad on the company. They used it in the pre-fight shows, so that's proof, right? So
you look
nothing wrong with it.
Look at that Nurmagomedov thing. Of course, you go, some of those comments a little bit close to the bone, not to my taste, find him offensive, whatever your stick is, right? But believe you me, that page that Nurmagomedov got at the end, he Magomedov ain't lying in bed at night, and that's why McGregor said it's just business, right?
Yeah.
Magomedov ain't lying in bed at night, still fretting over some of those comments. He's like, listen, I put an extra zero in my bank account, and whether you go like, and by the way, let McGregor know that you think his views are unacceptable. The way he portrays himself is unacceptable. By not buying his fights, that's what dictate the market terms. That's what will make him go, oof. Maybe I need to calm down.
I'm not popular anymore or whatever, right? The English is vote with your feet.
No? Or whatever.
Yeah.
Exactly. Vote with your wallet, vote with your feet, all those comments. And listen, at the end of the day, I don't give a rat's backside about any of that stuff.
Why do people get so offended, right? Why do people... Look, everyone is going to have different opinions. Colby Covington, he's not your dad, your brother, and even if he was, right? You have different opinions, your mates and everything. What is the problem? What is to get so annoyed about and go on Twitter and go nuts? He's this, he's that. What's the problem? So what?
I think a lot of people find that obviously it's a bad look for, if you like, an organisation, the UFC, to be...
He don't care whether it's a bad look for the... What, are you telling me some fan? He don't care?
But I'm talking about like people... I'm talking about like different things. People... Look, like I say, I'm all chatted out, but at the end of the day, there's stuff that is offensive. Look, honestly, just don't be offended by stuff.
I'm not offended by any of it.
I've never
from either side. What's offensive? Oh, listen, why would I be offended by it? Did McGregor say anything to me? No, right? Has Colby said anything to me? No. So why am I offended? I'm not going to be offended for these people, right? What for? It's not offensive to me. I'm all good with it. Whatever. I'm all good with it. For me, it makes it more interesting. I enjoy it.
Some people though might say, well, of course you wouldn't be offended because say he wasn't insulting your community or this, that, and the other, right?
Well, even if he was.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is listen, insult my community. I really, let's just say, I'm a run-of-the-mill English guy. If you want to say, you're going to bound to have bad teeth, a pot belly, a bald, you're probably actually not too. You've probably got. I was
going to say, looked in the mirror recently.
The thing is, all that stuff is stereotypical, if you want to say, xenophobic, all these things, right? But don't get offended by it. I actually find it funny, and you'll tend to find this. I think that sometimes there's a culture thing, and obviously Colby is American, so it kind of loses weight, that argument, a little bit, but it's sometimes a little bit of a culture thing. Do you remember that lots of people didn't know how to take Michael Bisping and his humour for a very, very, very long time?
And now Darren Till, right? Mike Perry's got the ump, and it's like he's joking.
Yeah, exactly, but Bisping seems to have won over, sort of the American people a lot more. The American viewing public, whatever, a lot more over the last couple of years. But especially when you say sort of talk from, say, our perspective as British guys, and
True.
I've never lived in America, I don't know what it's like, but I do know from our comedy show stuff, things are very different. I don't want to say this is how all British people would agree with me, because I know there's probably the majority wouldn't. But all I can say is from how we feel about it is even offensive things is you make light of. You make
true.
a joke out of it.
That's the British sense of humour.
When you defeat it, is you say something back, which, by the way, Usman did, right? Took the mick out, say, you got some stuff by your mouth, insinuating that Colby...
Brilliant.
And he did. And, by the way, out of that backwards and forwards that they had, Usman came off better. He kept his cool. He was more concise in what he said. He was more logical in what he said. Covington lost his cool. Right? So Usman won that argument. Covington did look silly in that argument. And... It's just like you say, when Till said he was going to raw dog Mike Perry's girlfriend, and Mike Perry got the ump with it. It's this is stuff. This honestly, I can't speak for all British people. There'll be loads of guys. These guys are talking nonsense. I'm telling you now, if you hang around with the sort of people that we've got with and people we've hung around with all our lives, if you get offended by someone saying they're going to raw dog your girlfriend, you're going to be crying every day of the week.
You ain't going to have no mates.
Twitter, every day of the week. Because that is standard. When you go to secondary school, I don't know if I'm going to say, I don't know if it's the same with Americans and other cultures, but I went to secondary school, right? People were saying to me, like, the first day of secondary school, they're saying, like, I shagged your mum last night.
Oh, I did it every day.
Every day.
Every day.
I came from quite a posh area from my primary school. So when I went to my secondary school, that was a bombshell for me. I'll tell you what, the first time I heard it, I cried. Look, I shouldn't be telling you this, but I cried, right?
Yeah.
Because somebody said they shagged my mum, and it was, if you like, offensive to me. And I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, after that, I accepted that was a joke.
Wasn't real.
They weren't being horrible, but that was a joke.
Yeah.
And you tell what, the greatest defense to it is you say something back. You go, if someone says, I shagged your mum last night, you return with and you reply with something like, oh yeah, was she any good? I'm telling you now, immediately that diffuses the situation. They laugh, they have a good time. You have a good time. You make them laugh. I'll tell you what, you become buddies. And honestly, people need to, this offense culture is sweeping the world at the moment. And people, if they grew thicker skins, they just retorted with similar sort of, if you like, a jesting kind. It doesn't mean that somebody might not go, listen, man, I found that comment a bit off. But if you just accept it, you say something back, honestly, you become bulletproof. You become bulletproof.
And
nothing
you just said, you learned it.
So much better. Yeah. Stop being offended. That's all I can say.
And take that advice. People, take the advice. You learn it in school. This is a thing, right? We ain't in school anymore, right? But we learnt this in school. The whole boys will be boys thing, right? Every day someone said something crap to me or whatever. And like you said, if you cried every single day when those guys said that, they're waiting for the reaction, right? They'll be like, tomorrow or after lunch, I'm going to approach him again, say the same thing again, and he's going to cry again. But eventually they go, nah, he's all right. He's good. He's good for a laugh, good for a crack or whatever. And that's it. And that's how Darren Till has grown up in the area he's grown up in. He could take anything from Perry, anything. Not one thing. He said it himself. Not one thing Perry said to him he found offensive. He's like, no, it's all good. All of it. No problem. And I ended up the same. You ended up the same. I've got plenty of mates that also ended up the same. And I learnt from those mates, from hanging around with them and me digging at them and watching the way they reacted. I also learnt from them of how to react, how to take criticism. I learnt from them as well. That's how we grow up. It isn't just how you grow up in school in this country. It's also like what you mentioned earlier, maybe not so much now, but the programs, the comedians that we had at the time, it's what we were surrounded with. I think it's better. It means that we're not easily offended. It means we're not offended by anything, and you can make light of everything and laugh and joke about it. And when you do that, you get on with people and you don't argue and fight over it.
But the thing is, right, some people might say, yeah, but what Covington said weren't a joke, or it was said with malicious intent. And that does change the landscape a little bit, right? But again, the
kid at school that said that about your mum.
What I would say is, who came off in that interview better or worse? Usman won that interview by a landslide. Covington went mad at the end.
I liked that bit.
Yeah, so did I. It was funny that he went absolutely ballistic.
I like that, but that's emotion. That's all right. He's going to get into a fight with this bloke. He's had a fight with him. He wants a rematch with him. He's going to get into a fight with him. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with going nuts at him and going, I want to do you. That's what you get to, right? The last line of defence after all the cussing and the cursing is, no worries, I'll smash your face in then. That's what he got to with Covington, right? He went, okay, I can't do no more chats. I've got no more. You've won the war of words. I'm going to beat your face off.
But that's what was good about Usman and his reaction, because he kind of poked fun back and because he just stood there smiling and this and the other, made himself bulletproof.
Yeah, and exactly. I did not. Yeah.
And people can say that it's it's reinforcing some negative stereotypes, or it's offensive to groups of people. All these things. Listen, that's fine. But I'm telling you now, if you just said, if you didn't give Covington the reaction he wants, I'm telling you now, he'd stop, right? Look, because he gets the reaction he wants. So all this stuff, like I say, don't get too swept up in it. These people are also trying to put dollars in their bank account. They're being clever. They're being smart with it. If you enjoy it, enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, just go, Covington's a wally. I can't wait to watch that fight and see him get his face smashed in.
If that's what you think,
the bonus
I think the other side, I think Usman's a wally, a boring fart, and I can't wait for Covington to beat him up.
Okay, but what I mean is, but these people who say are all offended, your reward is when you watch that fight, Usman Covington, without all this. If those guys never said anything, they're just two blokes plonked in a cage, and you watch that fight, you'd have little to no emotion.
Well, you're not on the side of anybody. Not on anyone's side. You're not rooting for anyone.
Yeah, you won't get butterflies. You won't be nervous and all this sort of stuff. Now, when that fight is remade, you're going to be hyped for it. You're going to be pumped for it. You're going to be excited. You're going to be anxious.
That's a good thing.
And when Usman or sorry, because I do think Usman would win again, but if Usman won again, you will jump out your seat, you will punch the air, you will cheer. All those emotions, all that high, all that positivity has been given to you by Usman, and in a perverse way, by Covington, by being, in your opinion, a dickhead. Oh, sorry. So, that is what people just need to just realise, that this is a sport. This stuff is all for fun. And just stop being so offended, because if you're offended,
but like you said, at the end of all the offense, you like it, because as you said, when you're sitting there, you're invested in somebody, so you love it, really.
Exactly.
Even if you don't, you must realise that the end result is that you're more interested to watch that fight, and you're invested in somebody now, and that makes it more interesting and better. The same as betting on a fight or whatever. Same thing. You've got a bit of investment in it, and got a reason to watch it, or a reason to go, please win, or whatever. Nothing wrong with that. It's good. Nothing wrong with it.
I'm okay for someone to say to me, I hated those comments. I found them offensive. I don't like Covington. Listen, all that stuff, that's fine. Tune in, watch him get his lights punched out by Usman in the second fight.
Or don't. Because you don't like it. Do whatever you want.
As for this, this bloke on Twitter, I contacted the sponsors of the UFC and all this sort of stuff. It's like, oh, come on, man. And you got anything else to be getting on with? That's just, that's my opinion. Yeah, look, that guy, honestly, if he came over to England and he worked on a building site in England, he would be going home every day, crying his eyes out, and probably handing his resignation after the second day. Because honestly, on a building site in England, or if you go to a pub in England,
office,
office, like Michael Bisping in England, right? In those environments, in pubs, in building sites and all of that. Exactly. It is a cultural thing. That is the way they behave. Covington ain't from that background, but if you like, that's why say people like us won't be offended by what Covington said, but people who aren't from that background will, because we've heard way worse. Like, so I've had people telling me they've shagged my mum.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? First day, secondary school. People telling me all manner of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my mum is an honourable lady. I can assure you, she never slept with any of those guys. So, like you say, laugh it off, get on with it.
Never admitted it.
Stop being a big baby. Well, that's right. She never admitted it.
Exactly.
But,
right.
I've got a half brother now who does look like a couple of those lads.
So. There you go. So you never know. But look, we don't want to do too much more, but I'm going to do a tiny bit more on it, because we'll use a couple of real MMA podcasts. We'll use a couple of real MMA examples, right? Both Bizzers and Darren Till, both of them said they tried to do all the humour and the brash stuff, both of them, with Robert Whittaker. And they went, it's too hard, because he's brilliant. The way he reacted back was amazing.
I really like Whittaker loads.
So do I. And it's exactly the same. He laughs at it all. Even Biz has said, I threw that belt down. Don't know why I did it. I threw the belt down at him, and I just thought, that didn't really work, did it? And the same as Darren Till. It's like, I've tried it all with Whittaker, and he's too much of a wicked bloke. He's great.
Exactly. What did Whittaker do? He made himself bulletproof, right? He made himself...
Laughing at it.
Bisping, threw down that belt, he started crying. Look at Luke Rockhold. The complete opposite, right? Luke Rockhold, stiff, boring, dry.
What a big baby.
When Bisping said anything, he just conceive, believe, achieve. And you could see how much it was tearing him up. And that's why Bisping said it at the end, how do those lemons taste and all that. That is the two opposite ways.
Octagon, by the way.
Don't be Luke Rockhold, be Robert Whittaker, right?
Better,
Robert Whittaker took those things. He had a laugh. He laughed at them. He either laughed at the jokes or he laughed at the people doing the jokes. He didn't get offended. And guess what? By the way, I've heard Bisping say, I like Whittaker or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They both said it.
Yeah, because he's brilliant, because he has a laugh and a joke. He takes it the right way and all this sort of stuff. And like I said, I'm okay with someone going, look, didn't really like Covington's comments, but don't be Luke Rockhold. Don't be salty.
The unofficial Strikeforce champ comment.
Exactly, yeah.
It was a joke, and he had to take it all serious and say, but what stays in the gym stays. What happens in the gym stays in the gym. I know that's the etiquette, the fighting train etiquette. That's why it was a good one to say, right? It's a joke. He never ever let it go, and he's a big baby for a bloke who looks like he looks, and for a bloke who's got the job he's got. What a baby, mentally,
Well, Well, I remember as well at the time in the build-up to that fight, Bisping said, I'm better looking and all that about Rockhold. Now,
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Bisping looks good, but Rockhold looks amazing, right? And, again, I saw some people in the comments all like going, "Oh, no way, Bisping, you ain't as..." And I was just like,
I knows.
Sarcasm, and it's a wind-up. It's, I hate the term, but in this country it's called banter, or they call it bants, or whatever.
Yeah.
As a bald guy, I will make comments about people's hair, and I'll do it because I know that they'll turn around and go, you can't take the mick out of my hair. You ain't got none, right?
Exactly. Messing around.
That is what I want. Now, I know Covington wasn't doing that. He was doing it with a malicious intent. But Usman dealt with it in a good way, right? He took the mick back, and that's right. Take it. Usman, like I say, I know I've drilled it 100 times, but Usman made himself impenetrable by doing that. Now, if Usman starts going, "Oh, Dana, can you step in next time he says something like that?" Or can you? What do you think? He makes himself look vulnerable, emotionally vulnerable, mentally vulnerable.
Listen, we ain't school kids, right? We're fully grown adults. And look at what we British guys say when Rockhold reacts like that. You big baby. What does that do? He gets even more angry, right? He's like, "What? Calling me a big baby?" It's like, yeah, you're being a big baby. But he's allowing that. He's allowing that by the way he's behaving with it. It's like, God, did he really not know that strike force thing? Does he not know not know what a joke is, or like you say, sarcasm? Does he not recognise these things? It's flipping stupid. It really is.
Exactly, and like you say, Whitaker and all those people, they show the way to deal with it. We liked Chris Weidman as well. Do you remember? Because Chris Weidman liked some of the Bisping. We like all those blokes like Ally Quinter and all that because they have that similar. If you like, we've said before, it's kind of like that British sense of humour where you do take the mick out of each other, you do rip on each other and all this sort of stuff, and you don't take everything to heart. You realise that people say stuff to emotionally, wind you up and untangle you, all this sort of stuff. And that's all Covington's doing. It's part of mental warfare.
Yeah.
And, he can say the smoke signals thing, and like I say, Usman can come back and go, "Yeah, well, you want to nosh off Donald Trump."
Exactly, but you're going to get...
I don't want anyone to stop Usman saying the Donald Trump comment.
No, neither.
To stop the Covington comment. Just, we're all grown adults. Let's take the mick out of each other. And look, obviously there are certain boundaries where you have to go, listen, that's totally unacceptable. But if someone crosses
They're not for me to set.
No, but what I would say is there are certain boundaries that are so, if you like, so beyond the pale that it doesn't then become a discussion of should you stop him saying what he's saying. It then becomes a discussion of, well, he shouldn't even be in the organisation because he's done something so abhorrent that I can't have him working here. It's what he's done is too...
I'm not sure. I think physical stuff and, criminal stuff, I'd say that. But I think with chats, you say whatever you like, man.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there are...
whatever,
But yeah, like what Covington said, like look, I say,
you've said it, man. You're being offended. You're being offended for someone who dealt with it.
Exactly,
by being offensive back.
I don't know. Maybe you're sending people who are offended on his behalf and tweeting Dana White.
They need to be.
But maybe Usman is sending them messages going, "Thanks for fighting my corner, bruv. I really appreciate it." But I doubt it. Usman
didn't need it, did he? And even if he, even at the end of it, he'll just do a fight. He doesn't need it. Even if he lost the war of words, who cares? He's going to end up having a fight. He's a fighter. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He dealt with it. Don't be offended on his behalf. Don't need your help. He can handle it. And he did handle it. It's fine. Neither of them need your help.
Quite simply, don't be a white knight. There's nothing worse than these people who get offended.
Agreed.
Who are, or even worse than that, get offended on other people's behalf.
Exactly.
Sod off. I fight my own battles. You in my corner. Yeah. Who do you think? And again, it's not for them. It's not for the person they are offended on, but it's for them.
It's themselves. Yeah. Absolutely.
The guy who down all, mag COVID. It's for their own kudos, so they can tweet. Like I say, if that guy was truly offended, right? I'm just picking on one guy who I saw on Twitter who messaged the 11 companies involved with sponsoring the UFC on that broadcast and, whether they agreed with Covington's views. What a stupid thing to say. Do you agree with Covington's views? It's like, oh yeah, I agree with everybody's views that was on that card. There's 22 fighters or whatever on that card.
I know.
How can they possibly agree or disagree with everybody's views?
I know. What a silly, stiff question.
Well, what a ridiculous thing to say, right? But him doing that, right? If he was truly offended, do it. Fine, right? Email those people, right? And if you get a response, go back and tell Usman. I'll tell you what, he plastered it all over Twitter. I've emailed these people, and these are the response I got back, because he wants the likes, he wants the comments underneath of people going, "Oh, way to go, dude! You're such a cool man, dude!"
Exactly.
And all this sort of stuff. That's what he wanted.
He wants a round of applause, people to think he's great.
Exactly.
That's what they're looking for.
Exactly. He wants the White Knight, Game of Thrones, woman being lofted on everybody's hands or whatever it is.
If you want that, go and do something good.
That's what he wanted. Yeah. All that time he spent, emailing all those companies and stuff. He could have been out helping at a soup kitchen or something like that.
Yeah. Real stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Go somewhere else with your faux outrage, and I'm not bothered about it. And if you are that easily offended, I'll tell you what, life is going to be a long, horrible road for you, my friend. So,
you big baby.
Exactly. That's
right.
The big baby. Well, you Luke Rockhold.
Yeah.
Honestly. With all the stuff going on in the world, let's be serious, right? With all the stuff going on in the world, there's some real stuff going on in the world, if you like, with there's a lot of, and people will say, well, this is kind of part of the problem, right? This sows seeds of division and lack of unity and all this sort of stuff.
That's created that.
There's some real messed up stuff going on. I ain't talking just about America, the UK. I'm not.
No, just real. Yeah.
I'm not talking about COVID. I'm talking about the world over. Some horrible, horrible stuff.
Exactly. Stuff that don't even make the news.
About some pale, pasty, white wrestler idiot with a red hat on saying a generic xenophobic.
Why is he that? He's brilliant.
Oh yeah, I like Covington loads. Listen, I've just been singing his praises for ages, but I'm just saying that at the end of listen, if he can't handle me calling him a stiff, pasty, pale, white idiot, right, with a red hat on, then he's a big baby and all. Then he's a big baby and all.
Yeah, don't be a big baby. And he ain't that anyway. Brilliant.
Right.
Look, let's leave it.
Yeah, we've said that enough. I didn't even want to get into that discussion because I hate politics creeping into this stuff. But listen, it's Covington's fault, right? He brought it in, if you like, and so we've had to discuss it. We've made our things known. And,
that's right.
And like I said, I'm angry about it anyway because I'm fed up with this. I've watched this stuff to get away from all the garbage that's going on.
I couldn't agree more.
And now I'm having it thrust down my throat by Covington, by Woodley, by everybody at this. Everybody who follows, everybody's tweeting now rather than tweeting about how good.
Yeah, I ain't interested.
About his comment. I'll tell you what, I'm sick to the back teeth of it.
So am I.
And now we're doing exactly the same.
I was about to say, and I apologise because it's actually something that we always said we weren't going to do. So if you've tuned in to listen to MMA and we've gone on about this stuff, then we apologise. But we aren't talking about political views and everything. We're just, you can hear what we've just said about it. So we'll leave it there.
What I would say might be quite refreshing is we're not taking the stereotypical view that it seems that everybody else is just saying, and we're just basically saying, listen, it might not be a nice comment. It might not be the best thing to say. But listen, we're dealing with a sport where you can get your arm broken, where you can get your ligaments torn, where you can get you punched into unconsciousness and then have someone do a flying punch onto your face again afterwards. Yeah. So let's just put it in a bit of context. Let's enjoy the fights. Let's stop being a Luke Rockhold.
Exactly. Baby. Yeah, that's the new word for a big baby. So that's the end of it. That was the post-fight show of the main card of UFC Fight Night, Covington versus Woodley, amongst other things.
Yep.
He's Yelland. I'm Kungas. We're out of here. See you on the next show. I'll see you later, mate. Thanks for that.
Yeah, nice one, you drip.
Yeah, shut your face, you stinking big baby.
All right.
Bye, mate. See you later.